Welcome to day 2 of the round of 16 of the BSL. I am Nyokin, of course, joined by Seriosity. Today is going to be arguably the group of death because we've got OyA, trutaCz, kogeT, and the Big Gyp starring today. A lot of storylines here. We want to see if there's the return of trutaCz to form, whether kogeT can make a return to his top form, whether OyA can go to the finals this season, fulfill his destiny to always place higher than the previous season, and how far can the Big Gyp go? So, Seriosity, what are your thoughts on this particular group?
I think this is definitely the group of death, a very stacked group. I would say with the way OyA has been improving and with trutaCz, who's always consistently in the round of 8, if not further, kogeT as well, and Gypsy, a newcomer, but a very strong player as well. I would say this is the strongest round of 16 group we've ever had in BSL.
Oh wow, in all of BSL, that's some big words right there. I kind of agree. This group is pretty darn stacked, and you look at it, and everybody's got a shot here. OyA, he's improved so much, and then trutaCz and kogeT are people that you always expect to go very, very far. And then, kind of surprisingly, the Big Gyp is a bit of the underdog here, but he has really upped his skill quite a bit recently. He's taken down multiple tournaments. He took down RCG, and then he took down Ascension. He's doing very, very well these days. So I'm looking to see how far he can go, of course, as a Terran player and a good friend of his. This should be very exciting. The first games of today, though, is not going to be OyA versus trutaCz. We're going to start off with kogeT versus Gypsy. So it's going to be a long one to start us off. We've got 3 TVTs potentially coming.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big test for Gypsy. If he can beat kogeT, then his chances of getting out of this group are much better. But kogeT, I think kogeT TVT especially is one of his best matchups, and it's going to start off on Blue Storm, and it's a very, very unique map, one of the older maps in the map pool as well, but very unique for all matchups, and especially TVT. You have these awkward spots on the map where you can get sieged at your nat, and we're just going to see how Gypsy can do against kogeT. I would say he's an underdog here. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think Gypsy is a bit of an underdog. My experience versus kogeT on the ladder is he likes to gasless expand quite a bit, and then he goes for heavy macro like vultures. Now that is also what Gypsy likes to do. He likes to go for heavy macro, whether it's a gasless or a 12 gas opener. However, Blue Storm being the map kind of throws a wrench into that because it kind of takes a long time for vultures to get across the map, and you can deal with all types of shenanigans on Blue Storm. Every time I think of Blue Storm, there is one game that comes to mind for me. It wasn't broadcast. It was me versus Artosis at WCG US Open 2005. This guy 6-racked me in the center of the map. And back then, Terran versus Terran was all about proxying your barracks and floating it into the base. And I remember floating my barracks, and then all of a sudden 3 Marines walked in my base, and I had nothing. So you can face all types of builds on this map. It wouldn't surprise me if we see something like a 6-Rex. It wouldn't surprise me if we see somebody proxy a factory and float it into their main. Blue Storm is a crazy map. So I hope that we get the players ready and we can get straight into this particular series because Blue Storm is going to be super nuts. Back then also, I think Blue Storm was a Courage map, so I played it quite a bit when I was playing on West. I remember getting contained by tanks quite often, like all types of stuff being thrown at you. What's your experience as a Protoss or a Zerg player on Blue Storm? I'm sure you have nightmares as Protoss, for sure.
As Protoss, I hate this map. You're basically forced to go into only one kind of opener. You can't really, there's so few bases. Terran can just siege to your nat eventually. It's very awkward as Protoss on this map. As Zerg, I think you kind of like this map in ZVP, but again, if you get into a map split scenario, it's a nightmare. I think this is a pretty good map for Terran, and here we have the brackets. OyA versus trutaCz and kogeT versus Gypsy. And looking at this, I wouldn't be surprised if any combination of 2 players advance out of this group. These are all very high-level players.
Yeah, it would not shock me if anybody makes it out. If we want to talk about recent games on Blue, well, okay. When I say recent, I mean maybe within the past 2 years or so, recent games. What comes to mind was, I think, kogeT versus Terror in RCG, maybe. And I remember Terror had a massive lead. And then it went split map, and Terror didn't realize that kogeT was switching to BCs. And Terror had all these tanks, but Blue Storm, you have high ground everywhere. It's hard to actually push anywhere. And kogeT went BCs and ended up winning the game simply because his tank line could never get busted and Terror was too late to switch. So that could be something to look for if we have a split map scenario. Is there any point in the game where one of the players does not realize that a BC switch is occurring? Because if that happens, all of a sudden the guy going BC is going to have a real big window of opportunity to start killing bases. And because Blue Storm is not the biggest map, really the only base you need to kill is either top middle or bottom middle. Just deny mining there and you're going to be at a massive advantage. So that is something to look for if we go split map. Of course, we've got the statistics of the two players up here. Gypsy, no matches so far because this is his first appearance in BSL. And then of course on the other side, kogeT, he's got about a 50% win rate, but as you mentioned, his highest win rate here versus Terran, I'm not surprised to see that. He's very good at this matchup.
Yeah, and I remember that specific game. On that game, kogeT never made more than 3 factories, and he produced only tanks. No other unit but tanks. And then once he made that transition into battle cruisers, it was just too overpowering for Terror. He couldn't gain any ground on the map. This is a very unique map in that sense. It's very hard to break defensive positions with all the high grounds. And it's not a very open map. That kind of strategy wouldn't work on many other maps.
Yeah, it is definitely a Blue Storm specific style. I didn't remember that it was just 3 factories. That's kind of insane that Terror was not able to bust that, because I know Terror is somebody that flood factories at some point, and you would imagine, okay, well, this guy should have been able to bust at some point, but I remember he was not able to, and kogeT just easily took the win once it got to the later stages of the game. You know, Blue Storm, I'm just trying to think of all the shenanigans that is possible in here. I mean, there's so many, and we always talk about how Zerg has a good time with Mutalisk versus Terran at the natural. You know, because of how deadly the Mutas are, we may see something like Wraith play here from kogeT, because he's got crazy Wraith micro. Now we do see the Blue Storm map on our screen. That means that the players should be ready. So let's get into our first game of Group B. It's going to be Gypsy versus kogeT. Alright, so this is not, I was like, okay, how is Zero selecting these SCVs? So in the bottom left, we have our red Canadian player. It is Gypsy. And in the top right, in the green, we have kogeT. Now, yesterday, Gypsy was asking me, do you have any suggestions what to play on this map? Honestly, this map is so off the wall, I didn't want to make a suggestion. I wanted him to go with his own thoughts. And it looks like he's decided that 8 racks is the move. So this is going to be a lot of pressure coming at kogeT. Now, to be fair, I'm not too sure how often Gypsy really 8 racks is, just in general, whether it's TVZ or TVT. So I'm hoping, has watched at least a bunch of replays before this occurred, because 8 racks, even though it sounds simple, it's not exactly the simplest build to play. Now, the big question here is, does kogeT delay his racks at all? Is he going to 12-12? Is he going to potentially go for 14cc? We're going to have to pay close attention to his screen. It looks like he's sending out a forward racks. Now, I've watched a video on this, and Light talks about how if you build a forward racks versus 8 racks, this is just a build order win for the 8 racksing player.
Okay, it looks like kogeT actually wants to scout. I'm not really sure where this SCV is going. If it is that forward racks, looks like it is. Nope.
Looks like it might already be over. He's going for 14cc, but he doesn't want to build it if there's a racks, and unfortunately he sees the racks, and now his racks is massively late, and he can't kill that SCV. Okay, it's already done. Wow. Okay, now I think Gypsy got off the first shot, but he's not going to commit to the battle. Instead, kogeT has pulled off 4 SCVs. Let's see how much damage he can get done. Now, Gypsy has fantastic SCV and Marine micro. However, that SCV is very low. Marine is going to have to be sent back. Oh, he almost loses that SCV. Both players are going to return. Oh, no. Wow. kogeT might actually just kill his Marine.
Very good control. It's like one SCV from kogeT goes down, one Marine by Gypsy. Gypsy has one Marine and one SCV. SCV goes down and it's only the Marine left. But I think kogeT will hold here.
Okay, so kogeT's going to hold, but he loses a lot for that. Now back on the others, or back on both players' side of the map, you can see that supplies are basically even. 17 out of 18 versus 16 out of 18. Slight economic lead for kogeT, it seems. Ooh, Marine is taking a little bit more damage. Now there are like 2 SCVs that are heavily damaged for kogeT, so he's got to be careful not to lose them. Looks like Factory started slightly quicker for Gypsy, but because this is Blue Storm, this is not the biggest deal. Now, as I said, Gypsy has some of the best Marine and SCV control. You can see he stutter stepped right there, able to take out an SCV and kills the other Marine. This might be devastating damage for kogeT because he's going to lose another SCV. That's like 3 down. Now Gypsy has a supply lead. This is crazy.
Gypsy does have an extra Marine there. Now we're tied 2-2. When does Gypsy stop producing Marines here? Or does he just keep the pressure on?
Usually with an 8 racks, you just stop after 3, because if you build more than 3, you usually get supply blocked. And we see that he's now stopped building Marines, and he's just going to float it into the main. He's going to see exactly what kogeT is doing. Now behind this, why does Gypsy have so little money? Is this a 2-fact? Oh, it's a command center follow-up. I couldn't see it on the minimap. So he's got a much faster command center, and we see that kogeT is going for Starport.
kogeT manages to get that scout in, though. He sees Gypsy did expand behind this, not going for some kind of follow-up, more aggressive follow-up than this. And the racks from Gypsy also sees kogeT trying to take an expansion, but sees nothing is quite down there. So this might give him a sense that something's off with kogeT's build. Maybe he's doing something else.
Well, this is one of the dangers of not playing 8 racks often. Okay, well, first off, we're going to have a battle. Oh, Gypsy got off the first shot, so he should kill this Vulture. And there's no way that kogeT can escape. He can only rely on high ground to potentially save them. That is going to be a... Oh, you got a fire. It's going to be a big loss for kogeT, because now he might be scrambling to build another Vulture. However, you can see put on the add-on, this is a Blue Storm, where it takes a long time for Vultures to get across the map. Now, Wraith is coming in, and this is where experience might come into favor for kogeT, because you can see Gypsy still just playing Vulture style. I'm not too sure how strong Mass Vulture is on this particular map. However, as we've mentioned, this map is very punishing if you can get into that gully and tank Wraith. Ooh, wow, the Marines did so much damage without even getting shot. But anyways, tank Wraith is very powerful if you can get into that particular spot.
For a moment there, I actually thought that was a little bit scary for kogeT, but the Marines got so much damage on one of the Vultures and the other was already very low health that Gypsy can't really put on any more pressure there.
Yeah, we do see Goliath or Armory coming in. Now, having 3 factories is amazing, but as I said, tank Wraith, once it gets into position, extremely punishing. And of course, with it being Blue Storm, it takes a very long time to move your units from your natural all the way to the top side of the map, back down to the bottom side of the map, and actually try and engage into that position. So we'll see if kogeT can set up a massive contain before Gypsy can get some sizable amount of Vultures and with mines out on the map. Now the Wraith is being a little bit of annoying, but some of the worst DPS in the game to ground is the Wraith, so I don't really expect that to do much damage. Second Wraith coming out, I didn't see Cloak being upgraded though, and he's not mining gas at his natural, but you can see he has a little bit of gas built up, but he really needs to get that gas going, otherwise it's going to be hard to support, you know, a lot of factories and Wraiths.
Gypsy now switching into Goliaths to deal with these Wraiths, but Goliath's not a great unit on this map, and there we go. Wraith goes down. That's actually pretty bad because he is investing in more Wraiths, and I did see he just got Cloak started.
Yeah, you guys got to remember that every Wraith could have been a tank. I mean, Wraiths are good, but if I got to pick a unit I want the tank. So you definitely need to save the Wraith if you're going to go Wraith. Like, you can't just build one of them. Their DPS is horrible. You've got to get a lot of them. So you cannot afford to lose any amount of Wraiths. Now, mines are already set up. I didn't see an academy built anywhere. We see 4 factories going up for kogeT. Now, as I mentioned, if you're going to build a lot of tanks and a lot of Wraiths. You got to get your nat gas up and running, so kogeT's a little behind in that sense, but he's not gas starved, at least just yet. Meanwhile, I don't know if he suspects that mines were set up here because he never saw the vultures move into position. Okay, now he's going to confirm.
Yeah, he's clicking on those vultures to see if they have any mines left. He should suspect that they're out on the map.
Yeah, so he is just going to play passive, but this is going to give Gypsy breathing room, and that might allow Gypsy to get into position to siege that natural. Now, another Wraith coming in to the nat. Quite annoying, but again, the DPS is so low. He may even be able to... Wow, is Gypsy going to try and bust with this small Goliath Vulture count? No, there's no way he would attack into a bunker like that. He might just be setting up... Okay, he is going to siege from that gully, like I said, but he needs to be careful because it's only one tank, and kogeT is going to have vision himself with the Wraith.
Yeah, and Gypsy is way out on the map, and this tank is only... It's unsupported currently. And there we have the Wraith with Cloak now, and this is going to be very annoying. The Wraith can just run away. There's one Cloak that Gypsy doesn't have. He's down to one Cloak now. I mean, one scan for these Cloaked Wraiths. It's going to be hard for him to continue putting on pressure if he doesn't have detection.
Yep, tank is getting into position with that barracks. Also, 2 more tanks are moving across the map. He doesn't want to show that the tanks are here. He needs to move those Goliaths over there also to clear out the Wraith. If he can clear out the Wraith, kogeT is in big time trouble because that barracks is all the way across the map. Oh, it is so important that he kills these Wraiths. Ooh, it's important that kogeT does not lose these Wraiths. And now he sees the gig is up, that 3 tanks are already in position. Now, does kogeT have siege? I mean, he can have as many tanks as it doesn't look like he will. Actually, he has a lot of vultures, and this might be a misstep big time from kogeT. Now, even though this Wraith is annoying attacking the tank, you can easily send SCVs across the map and repair it, so I'm not too worried about this particular Wraith. But I am worried that he's going to lose a single tank to one Wraith.
He's very limited in the amount of scans. There we have the Cloak running out. So, I mean, that's the only thing that's holding Gypsy back right now. He's being annoyed by these Wraiths. 6 kills on this Wraiths, all SCVs. And here we have the 3 tanks setting up. Tons of Speed Vultures moving up for kogeT. He does have scan, but these... Okay, high ground for Gypsy here. He might get a good engagement here with the Vultures from kogeT on the low ground.
It doesn't look like Gypsy's focus firing. Now he is, but he's going to trade so effectively because half of these Vultures are not registering hits for kogeT, and now a lot of his units are attacking mines and really not getting any hits. kogeT has given up his natural for now. He's going to try and move on to the high ground. Gypsy doesn't realize it just yet. Now, okay, that's kogeT scanning, but he's going to set up tanks on the low, more tanks on the low ground, and Gypsy might flat out just have too much stuff right now. 3 tanks on the high ground is going to be very good for kogeT, though. Cannot let any of these mines connect. Gypsy doing a really good job with focus firing, but now he's out of vision.
Oh, bit of a misstep there from kogeT moving forward with these tanks. Loses 2 of them. Looks like he's going to lose all 3.
Oh, he lost all 3. And look how much gas kogeT is floating. He's got 1,200 gas. He has a ton of vultures, though. But it's Tank Goliath in the center of the map now. That's already set up for Gypsy. I don't think kogeT can really overrun this position. Maybe... Oh, it looks like he's just doing a run by, but Gypsy has more units coming up. You can see he's expanding behind it too. And even if kogeT cuts off reinforcements for now, his natural has not been mining for so long.
Yeah, things falling apart for kogeT here. He has very few tanks.
There it is.
Yeah, he had no tanks there at the end. He couldn't defend that position as natural, and everything went down from there. Bad engagements, couldn't hold the natural, and Gypsy just on top of his game.
Yeah, so really nicely done from Gypsy there, and I was really worried that kogeT was just going to flat out die to the 8 racks. The 4 SCV pull was quite interesting. He microed his SCVs pretty well too. I think he only lost 1 in the beginning, and then of course it started scaling up as the Marine count got higher and higher and higher. But in the end, if you looked at the supplies and the build order, kogeT had a slight lead. He still had a little bit more money. However, Gypsy just outplayed him in the mid-game. Command Center was faster. The Wraith play really didn't do that much damage in the early stages, and you could see the impact of getting into that small gully. It's just so hard to punish. I was kind of surprised to see in kogeT's main, he went mass Vulture. Like, we saw 2 tanks and he just stopped building them and went Vulture. That's so unusual on Blue Storm, and you could see that he got punished quite quickly. I think that was a bit of a misstep there from kogeT. So hopefully he gets it together in game 2 because, yeah, Blue Storm was not the greatest showing there.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think he actually had siege. I never saw him siege up his tanks. Yeah. So that would make it impossible for him to defend his natural. And then the engagement with the vultures on the low ground, he had, I think, 12-8 advantage, and he lost that fight because he stayed on the low ground.
Yeah, a lot of the vultures were not registering. I really don't know how. I almost said Artosis. I really don't know how Gypsy won that fight there, but he's going to go up 1-0. Remember, guys, this is best of 3, so Gypsy's not just instantly into the winner's match. kogeT is going to have a chance to make a comeback. Now, it should be his pick. So, if I'm going into this series as kogeT, I'm picking a standard map. I'm picking Eclipse. I'm picking Polypoid. Probably Polypoid, because since I've played kogeT on the ladder, a couple times, generally he plays quite eco heavy. Like we saw on Blue Storm, he was even thinking about going 14 command center on Blue Storm. That's a 2-player map, man. You're gonna get scouted so fast, so often. I think on Polypoid he may go for the same thing, and then we'll see what he did with like the mass vulture follow-up. But Gypsy does know how to play versus mass vultures, so it should still be a good game regardless whether Gypsy has like a matching 14 command center. Like he can play it out. So I think that's what I would go for if I'm kogeT here. I would pick a big map, Polypoid, maybe Power Bond, but yeah, not a weird map like Tau Cross or something like that.
Tau Cross with the high ground naturals that can be sieged.
Are you serious? How did this get picked?
I can only imagine kogeT does like to go for drop play a ton, and this is one of the maps where it's pretty good. That's the only reason I can imagine picking this map.
That is true, and something I forgot about, which may come into play if it goes into mid-game, where Gypsy may have mass vultures, and then, oh look, there's tanks on my ledge, and I just can't shoot them. So that could be the reasoning. You look at this map and you're like, damn, look at the mains. The mains are so huge, drops are such a killer, but it is a 3-player map, and again, I have to say, back when I was playing on West, this was also a courage map. I remember facing 8 rocks quite often on here. So with the map set, I guess our players are ready. So let's get into game 2, see if Gypsy can close it out on a Tau Cross.
One thing to mention on this map is that the spawns aren't exactly the same. For example, the 12 o'clock or the top right base is one that's a little bit awkward to defend. The high ground at the natural is actually a lot bigger than at the other spawns for whatever reason.
So are we ready? Oh, we are ready. Let's get into this game. So in the mid left position, our red Terran player, our blue Terran player, he's up 1-0. It is Gypsy. And in the top right, in the red, our other Terran player, it is kogeT. Now, supplies have gotten a little bit too high for an 8-rack, so we're not going to see either player go for that. I am a little bit surprised at this pick, because really you do 8 racks this map. Probably as much as Blue Storm. And I'm curious if kogeT's going to open with 14 command center again. I actually think he will. So we'll see if that's going to be the build order choice.
That would be pretty bold, because Gypsy had a read on what kogeT was up to. It definitely looked like kogeT wanted to go 14 command center, but he did at least ensure that he could defend against some kind of 8 racks by scouting that early. It looks like Gypsy, did he send out an SCV already?
Yeah, this is going to be a forward racks, slightly forward racks. So he is intending to put a little bit of pressure. Meanwhile, we see that kogeT is building a racks himself. This could be gasless expand. Like I said, my experience versus kogeT, big time macro player. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the command center go down. No gas. Meanwhile, back in Gypsy's side, gas did go down.
Yeah, and kogeT slightly later gas, but still going for.
Yeah, so both players go for the 12 gas here. Faster scout for Gypsy though, so his econ is going to be hurt a little bit more. I'm wondering if he was also suspecting that this was going to be gasless or 14cc, and he wants to scout fast and have the potential to go for something like a proxy factory. Usually you don't scout this fast as Terran. Usually you do send out a similar timed scout as kogeT, because it kind of allows you to build the factory, build the depot, build the marine, build the SCV without cutting anything. Now Gypsy's going to have to cut something if he wants to get up a matching factory timing. You can see both players are approaching 100 gas. Factory's going to go down slightly faster for Gypsy though. Well, I think it is. He's got to build it.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, there it is at the top. Now, curious if either... Ooh. Okay, Gypsy pulls off of gas now. I was like, whoa, we've got Gypsy actually continuing to mine gas in his main. Meanwhile, kogeT has pulled completely off.
Okay, so that was Gypsy just microing the SCV, running it away from the Marine. But he does pull off gas, and now we have only one Marine from both players so far. They did get that early scout, so no extra Marines here. And Gypsy's barracks already floating across the map, heading towards kogeT's base.
Yep, he's going to have a better scout timing, and kogeT hasn't even lifted his racks yet. However, he's not building any Marines, so I'm not too sure what this move is. He's going to get the SCV taken out also. Nicely done from Gypsy there. Meanwhile, his command center is going to be maybe about 5 to 6 seconds slower. He may have to build a bunker though, since he only built one Marine. That's generally, you know, the safe move here. Meanwhile, actually, kogeT also has one Marine.
There we go. One vulture. Let's see how many vultures get made before the add-on. Gypsy does, like you said, he's going to have a way faster scout, so he's going to see what kogeT is doing, and that will influence what he decides to do with his opener.
Yep, we see that both players are at max supply right now, so that means both players have built 2 vultures. Meanwhile, we have not gotten a confirmation on what the follow-up is going to be. That is a second factory, I think, for kogeT at the front. Meanwhile, Gypsy building a 3rd vulture, so we finally have the first deviation. Add-on going down. Now, I saw 1 vulture come out, and I thought kogeT had 2, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, yeah,
No, he does have 2.
So we haven't seen factory flood from either player. Now that was another factory for kogeT, so he's going to go for 3 factory. That's typical. Gypsy also likes to go for the 3 factory follow-up, so I'm sure that will happen at some point pretty soon. kogeT now transferring SCVs. You can see that he's got a slightly faster econ advantage right now. 3rd vulture is going to sync up pretty soon. I don't know if kogeT knows that there's 3 vultures here. You see that 2 SCVs are in position. He's going to try and focus. Oh, instant reaction from kogeT to repair. Nicely done.
That was clutch, because vulture versus vulture fights can snowball very quickly, and just having the repair instantly allowed kogeT to save that vulture.
Yep, that was a really nicely done move from kogeT. Meanwhile, Gypsy canceled something. I don't know if it was an armory, or probably the armory. After he saw the 3rd vulture, he's like, nah, you're not going Wraith anymore. So he's just going to match vulture with vulture. Now the real issue for both these players now is when to switch to tank. You don't want to build way too many vultures, and then the other guy has, you know, like 5 tanks, and you just literally get A moved across the map. You don't want that to happen. But at the same time, you don't want to skimp on vultures, because then vultures will just kill you. So it's going to be really hard to gauge for both players. Of course, nobody wants to get supply blocked either. It looks like vulture speed has kicked in for kogeT. You can see that vulture count is identical right now. There's a 1 vulture, 2 vulture lead right now for Gypsy, so kogeT's got to be careful. He pokes in, evaluates that, hey, that is 8 vultures. Can't engage that. Meanwhile, Rax was in a position to go for a wall. I'm not sure if that's actually a complete wall, though. That's something that I totally forgot about on Blue Storm, or on Top Cross.
Yeah, I don't think you can use the barracks to make a complete wall there. You could probably make a depot there, but no way to get the SCV across the map. And here we go. We're 4 factories, 4 Gypsies, 4 factories, 4 kogeT. kogeT will have the faster vulture upgrades because he went for 2 vultures then add-on. But it looks like Gypsy's speed is about to finish here as well.
Yeah, but kogeT has 5 factories. I think I counted that correctly. Meanwhile, Gypsy only at 4. Yeah, 5 factories for kogeT. So he's got a faster factory count. You can see he's even ramping up in terms of supply. He's got what, like a almost 10 supply lead. Starport coming in. Now, if Gypsy's going to go for Starport, He needs to not be in the center of the map like this because he's never going to be able to match the vulture count. He needs to be in a position where he can have arc advantage, he can have concave advantage. We can see that more and more vultures are coming out. Gypsy's still down a little bit in supply, but this one single wraith could turn the tides because still, kogeT doesn't know what this is. He should suspect something's up simply because there's only 4 factories, but he doesn't know exactly just yet.
Yeah, it's very important for both players here to not miss any depots because in vulture versus vulture fights, missing one depot, you miss out on a cycle of vultures and you instantly lose the game.
Yeah, it's true. You will. Wow, that is so many vultures. First tank comes out. I didn't see mine upgrade for kogeT just yet, so no mine explosion should change the tides of any fight. Okay, now mines have completed. There's going to be a massive minefield set up. I would be shocked if kogeT moves in here, but he's going to try and set a mine up and try and blow up that tank, but instead he kind of just moved into it and bled off a ton of vultures. Luckily for him, I didn't see an academy in Gypsy's main, so kogeT is not going to be... Oh, okay, kogeT is going to be sometime relatively quickly. Meanwhile, kogeT does know that, hey, you must be going Wraith, because why do you have only 4 factories? His armor is already almost done, but Gypsy still is going to have the ability to set up potentially a tank drop on the ledge. I'm not sure if he remembers that this is a potential option on Tau Cross. We don't see the add-on just yet, but triple add-on coming onto those factories for kogeT.
Yeah, Gypsy, that tank is actually key, especially having it there at the front, because you never want your vultures shooting other enemy tanks. You want them to shoot vultures. They do way more damage against vultures than they do tanks. And Gypsy smartly positioned that tank at the front, and with the concave, it was just an easy defense there for him.
Meanwhile, first couple Goliaths are out, and kogeT is going to get out onto the map. This scan timing is going to be great, or it's going to be at a good time for Gypsy. He's going to be able to clear the mines before kogeT can get into position to contain. You can see kogeT is sending units across the map because, of course, he doesn't know that Gypsy has vision just yet, so he wants to set up the contain if he can. Meanwhile, Gypsy has a sizable tank advantage. I think it's 4-2 right now. Vulture's going to try and buy time, but I don't think this is going to work. Gypsy has way too many tanks. He even has 5 tanks. He needs to scan again, though. He needs to scan again. He's getting dangerously close. Oh, no, kogeT! Move commanded his tank!
One mine does go off. 2 mines go off and kills a ton of vultures. Tanks are in position, so at least Gypsy won't get contained here. But that was a key mine engagement there.
Yeah, that was okay trades for both players. I mean, when I saw the first tank go down, no, okay, almost loses another tank. You got to be so careful moving. Oh, actually, he lost a couple more tanks. So Gypsy now lost way more tanks than kogeT. Meanwhile, we can see triple add-on going down. Now, the starport has an add-on on it. Not sure if that's going to be for drops or what, but you can see that Gypsy is starting to take his 3rd base. And for now, kogeT cannot deny this. It doesn't look like Gypsy has any intentions of attacking right now. He just wants to ramp up his econ. He may be setting up for a doom drop onto that ledge. I don't know. There is a dropship. Let's see what he wants to do with this. A lot of times you just see dropship for a vulture drop. I am curious if he will load up tanks here.
Looks like kogeT, with the 3 add-ons, he is building up substantial tank force now. He was faster to make those add-ons than Gypsy, but of course Gypsy had the larger tank count to start the game. And they're both taking a 3rd, so they're working on equal factory counts. Gypsy does have an additional building. It is that starport. And it's going to be hard for kogeT to advance out on the map. He is taking his own 3rd, but I'm not really sure how he moves on from here. And it looks like you are right. It is a vulture drop, at least to start off. 3 vultures get in.
Yeah, vulture drop is going to kill a couple SCVs. The Sim City is kind of wonky for the vultures to get in. However, a lot of SCVs are going to be pulled. A single Goliath going to try and save the day. Yeah, okay, the SCV drill was really good, limited the amount of damage that the vultures did. However, you see that it did disrupt a lot of the mining. kogeT instantly puts 3 back onto gas, so that's a key thing for him. Meanwhile, kogeT's tank count, as you mentioned, is really, really high. But a lot of vultures are out on the map for Gypsy right now. I think those are kogeT's mines right there, so he sees that vultures are moving out. Meanwhile, Armory did complete for Gypsy, so he's going to start getting his upgrades coming in pretty quickly. Command Center is done for kogeT, so basically 3 base versus 3 base. We saw in the main of kogeT that the Rax was building, so he's not going to be able to go up into that super high factory count. Okay, he now completed it, so now he can start putting down even more factories. I don't see any more being built for Gypsy just yet. Another drop going into the main. It's not going to have any success this time.
I am a little bit concerned for kogeT. If Gypsy builds up a large enough tank fleet that he can... Okay, looks like the dropship is going to that. Does this have actually tanks? And it does. This is going to be hard for kogeT to kill off if the tank number grows. One tank, you could probably deal with it with 3. You just siege on the low ground and snipe it. But if this dropship fleet from Gypsy grows and kogeT doesn't take position outside of his natural, like Gypsy can walk to this position, reinforce it, and it's going to be hard for him, for kogeT to eventually break this. But it looks like it's just one tank for now, and kogeT is prepared here.
Yeah, that he... okay, Gypsy might actually kill one tank for one tank. That's not so bad. And that buys time for Gypsy to move across the map. That was his move. He wants to draw all of the units of kogeT out of position, and meanwhile, get into position on the bottom side of the map to try and take down that third base. Meanwhile, you saw kogeT's camera move there, so he sees it coming. But Gypsy, I think he has a little bit too many tanks for... Okay, never mind. kogeT's going to be set up completely, and this is going to be denied. However, this is still an okay position for Gypsy because he doesn't necessarily have to attack. He can just take control of this position of the map and start thinking about taking bottom middle. That's exactly what he's doing. And because this is a 3-player map, you can't afford to give up ground like this as kogeT. You will just starve out. Like, if we think about what our potential bases kogeT can take now, mineral only at bottom right and mineral only at top middle. I mean, those are not bases that Terran wants to take. They want the gas bases.
Yeah, and this is going to be awkward for kogeT because he can't really get any more gas bases. Very limited map in terms of gas bases, and Gypsy has control of both bridges. What was that? A cancel on an armory, I guess? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that was, but we have more dropships coming out. Okay, kogeT found a vulnerable position. He's going to siege up, but Gypsy was already moving into position 2. Focus firing down the tanks is kogeT, but it might just be way too much Gypsy. Well, maybe not. kogeT has a little bit too many tanks, but for now, this was a key move for kogeT. Also, oh wow, Gypsy's, holy moly, that is a lot of tanks, and he's probably going to bust this because he has some leftover vultures. He needs to clear this out. Does kogeT? Now Gypsy's just going to siege, and you can see that a mine connected at the bottom. Both players need to focus fire the tanks. kogeT gets a nice... Oh my god, kogeT's going to overwhelm this army because Gypsy didn't have any vultures to reinforce.
Yeah, pure tank reinforcements, no support, and kogeT cleans this up easily, and now he has access to the bottom side of the map.
Look at the supply, a 30 supply swing in favor of kogeT now. Gypsy scrambling to get tanks into position. Now, he did have double starport, and if you look here, there's almost no anti-air for kogeT. The only Goliath went down. Both players are desperately trying to get rid of that tank line. Oh, looks like, oh my gosh, kogeT got the final shot off onto that tank before it could fire. Multiple tanks may have fallen there if Gypsy was able to connect. You can see that kogeT has +1 weapon. I think Gypsy also has +1. Wow, he's going for a doom drop. I can't believe it, but this might be a fantastic move because Gypsy knows that all the units are out of position here. He has 4 dropships, is that it?
Yeah, that's so. 4 dropships, that's 8 supply, that's not army, and if we look at the supply difference, kogeT has a big advantage. I wonder what kogeT's factory count is, because he was able to produce a lot more than Gypsy here. And again, vultures here trading 4 tanks. Really what matters here is the tank count. Who has more tanks? And it seems like kogeT is winning in that regard. But if Gypsy can pull off a clutch doom drop on that natural high ground or in the main near those factories, this game could flip.
Yeah, and it looks like kogeT still is not aware of bottom left being taken. So for now, Gypsy is going to have 4 gas versus 4 gas, or 4 gas versus 3 gas. Now supplies are getting much closer. You can see that 2 wraiths are moving across the map. Again, I think this is simply to move units out of position so Gypsy can go for that doom drop. I'm not sure if kogeT has scanned the drops. And even though kogeT has a lot of factories, if you look at how they're placed, it's going to be hard for him to move units into position to defend a drop. So If Gypsy is able to get these dropships through, I think this will be a game-ending move for him. He's got 6 dropships now. These 2 wraiths are being super annoying.
Yeah, killing off turrets and SCVs before they can get built, and really this is distracting kogeT from what the real plan is. Looks like Gypsy's dropships are just idling there at the natural for now. He wants to get a significant enough number of them before he decides to execute what I would think would be the June drop. Looks like positioning here to cancel kogeT's fourth, and this is awkward map for taking bases because the 4th gas is so far away for both players.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for that drop. I see some movement at the top side of the map. What is that? Is that Gypsy's dropships going through? It's going to be just vultures trying to clear out these tanks. Gypsy all over the place. He has so much stuff at the bottom, but he's also able to clear out the top side tanks. And kogeT's probably thinking like, oh well, that's not even that big of attack. Okay, we've got a massive attack at the bottom. So many tanks set up for Gypsy. Does he have +2? I don't know if he does. Oh, he doesn't have +2. Oh, kogeT's hitting right before +2 kicks in. But I don't think kogeT can actually push through. kogeT's supply has plummeted. And at the top side, those vultures, even though they don't have high DPS, eventually those turrets will fall. And if dropships were to move there, as I stated before, probably ends the game. But instead, Gypsy is moving to the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, even though kogeT did gain some ground there, he actually lost that fight. At least in terms of cost efficiency. He really wants to clear up this area so he can deny Gypsy's 4th and also take his own. But Gypsy's well defended here. Looks like he has a tank sieged up. kogeT's moving in. Dropships coming in to support, and looks like Gypsy is going to hold this easily.
Yeah, he was using the drops for a defensive maneuver instead of going for the aggressive maneuver. Oh my god, all those vultures that I thought were going to lay mines, none of them get any connections, and kogeT just taps out, and that's going to be Gypsy winning 2-0 over maybe one of the favorites as a Terran player to go very, very deep in the tournament.
Yeah, that was very impressive there from Gypsy. Just had very nice control during all the big fights. Very effective in targeting the tanks with his own. And his positioning was suffocating kogeT. kogeT couldn't get any more bases out on the map. And once he saw the dropships as well, he realized Gypsy had just all this flexibility to be everywhere at once on the map. He was on the top side with the vultures. He had the dropships. He had the control of the 4th base and just tapped out. GG.
Yeah, really impeccable macro from both players, though. I think both players had something like 9 factories. Upgrades were good, too. We saw Gypsy's 1-1 had kicked in, so that means his 2-1 was about to kick in. But overall, just better movement from Gypsy. He had better control over the center of the map. He recognized that, hey, if I can get this 4th base and also deny you getting bottom right, that's going to be a win condition. Like, he doesn't necessarily need to go kill you. And I guess kogeT got a little bit too worried because there was so much supply for Gypsy at the bottom side of the map. There was almost no defense at the top side. If kogeT had sent all of his army to the top side, he probably could have killed that 3rd base. But it is what it is. Sometimes you tunnel vision on a certain position. Also, Gypsy could have countered the 3rd base at the same time, so it's a very hard position for kogeT there. But Gypsy moves on into the winner's match. It's probably a surprising result for some of the players here, but Gypsy is so good these days, it's not that surprising to me. And kogeT's going to be knocked down into the losers side of the bracket. So that is going to be the end of game 1 or series 1 for the day. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to come back with OyA versus trutaCz. It's going to be a PVZ, and we're going to find out who's going to face off against Gypsy. Oh, wow, these mutas are so far forward with no vision at all. Meanwhile, it does deny the turret. Overlord does now come in, and this is going to give October Zerg the vision he needs. That's great muta control, but it's also great Wraith control. Now Marines are still not in the bunker, but look at how fast those Mutalists end up dying. Goodbye. And that's going to be a GG any moment now.
Yeah, that's it. Here. I mean, Terran is just so far ahead. But
well, this is about the best trade that mutas are going to get. He catches the Wraiths, but look at the control from the Wraiths. The Wraiths are firing, and the mutas are not firing.
Yeah, well, looks like, I mean, even with that control.
Serious? I think he's going to kill all these mutas. Oh my
his noodles
God.
are so off. Oh, but he is gonna. He's got Evo chambers, got nice saturation everywhere. All of this off of the first. He didn't really overmake Mutalisks, didn't overmake Lurkers, but this Contain wasn't actually in position, and he's gonna lose all the Lurkers, and all of a sudden. Oh, I mean, he does trade those Lurkers for the double vessel, so that's worth it in the end. 100% it's worth for Siki. But honestly, I feel like this game, it should have just ended with this Contain.
Yeah,
Looking at the supplies, it's not looking good for him.
well, he's busting out right now. Still 1-1 for the Zerg. Meanwhile, Terran, I think, is at 2-1. +3 carapace is kicked in for the Ultras. Ling and Ultras are clearing up this tiny bio ball. Remember, despite double expanding, you have to. That means that you're lacking units in that critical phase, obviously. Oh, he's going for a drop at bottom middle, but it looks like there's only one Marine left over, so that's not a big threat. Meanwhile, Darkswarm gets on top of the bunkers.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. There's the thing is, Terran lost their ball, lost the vessel cloud. These drops aren't really doing anything. Siki just completely handling Ultra this game, and honestly, I just think it comes down to Ultra's build choice. Powerbomb, just not the best map to go 2 racks on, and GG, Siki is going to advance in first place.
All right, guys, we are back, and we just saw the big Gyp move into the winners match with a 2-0 victory over kogeT. Kind of a surprising result there because kogeT is so strong in BSL all the time. Now we're going to be going into a PVC. It's going to be OyA, Swedish superstar, versus the very, very strong Polish player and trutaCz. trutaCz looking to finally get back into form, finally get into the shape that we all know he is capable of being.
Angry Pocky is sub for 19 months. Who is this
He's got his
Gypsy
work cut
guy?
out for him
Is he any good?
OyA, because OyA has improved every single season he's played, coming from Gosu League at first, then getting 3rd place last season. He's really looking to make it to the finals this time around, and he is just such a monster, especially in PvZ too. Like, he's got this goon build that's surprisingly strong. It's gonna be really hard for trutaCz to take him down.
Yeah, OyA's meteoric rise, I would say, has been a little bit surprising for someone this late in the game to improve so much, but he's done it, and this is going to be a completely different matchup than the previous series, not only because of the races, but because of the style of play. We have 2 very aggressive players in OyA and trutaCz facing off.
Yeah, now last season, trutaCz was on the brink of being eliminated. I think in the round of 24, he almost got killed by a player named Sneasel, who I'd never even heard of. And Sneasel played very well, but trutaCz, in trutaCz fashion, showed off his multitask, showed off his micro. He was picking apart the Protoss player with just pure Hydralisk at one point. But really, Sneasel had a real opportunity to knock him out. So trutaCz is going to need to channel that versus someone like OyA, because OyA is a bit of a step ahead of Sneasel. And what makes OyA even more dangerous than other Protoss players is this guy will do anything. For people that have followed BSL, he's gone for the proxy 2-gate in the center of the map. He's faked like a standard Nexus follow-up while also proxy gating. My first game versus OyA ever, he came into my channel while I was streaming and asked, hey, let's play 1v1. I said, okay, never even heard of this guy. And this guy went 7 pylon 7 gate in the center of the map. I was like, okay, So this is who we're dealing with. Somebody that just wants to test your micro, test your multitask. But he can do it all. He can play macro games too. He's really improved quite a bit. So this is going to be a hard matchup for trutaCz.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw these two play specifically. It was in RCG, not the first time. It was the first time in RCG, and OyA had a massive advantage. And trutaCz, like in that game for Sneasel, was able to come back via Hydra control and eventually pulled it out. But since then, OyA has improved significantly, and I want to see if in that same scenario he can pull off the victory against trutaCz.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for both players to pull out a victory because they are both superstars in their own right now. Of course, map is going to be Blue Storm. Our players should be ready. So let's get into that matchup. It's going to be trutaCz versus OyA. Oh, looks like one of the players may not be here. Okay, he is here. So let's go. PvZ matchup on Blue Storm. All right, so in the bottom left, in the blue, are Swedish Protoss. It is OyA. And in the top right, in the red, Polish legend. It is trutaCz. Now, yesterday, Gypsy was talking about how Blue Storm should be called Zerg Storm. I think that's simply because it is very, very hard to deal with, like a Hydra bust, and the SimCity is really lacking. However, because OyA is so dangerous with a variety of builds, I think this is actually a really good map for him. He can use his image here to kind of force trutaCz to play very cautiously versus him. What are your... Now, you were talking about how cancerous this map was for Protoss. What makes it hard for Zerg?
For Zerg, it's hard once it gets into a position where Protoss is stabilized in the mid to late game, because then if it's a split map scenario, it becomes very difficult for Zerg to advance out on the map. They still have options. They still have the ability to drop. They can be very efficient because there is a mineral only base that always favors Zerg a little bit, but a simple split map becomes very difficult for Zerg to win on this map.
Yeah, this is a map that has limited resources. Like, if you split it, both players only get 5 bases. It's not like Polypoid where both players get potentially 8 bases, some insane amount of money. As the game goes longer, you would imagine it favors Protoss. But, players like Larva have kind of swayed my judgment to the strength of the Zerg late game, but I'm not sure if trutaCz plays that defensive style like Larva. I mean, Larva is kind of like a one-of-a-kind legend in that sense. Now, we do have Protoss going for... Okay, it's going to be a Forge, right?
Yeah, it's just a delayed Forge because it's an overpull. He did send out that Pylon Scout, and if you see it's an overpull, you can delay your Forge to 12, and you're going to go Nexus first anyway, so it doesn't really matter what time that Forge goes down, if it goes down 10, 11, 12. So that little bit of extra mining helps.
Yep, so delayed Forge coming down. Standard opener from OyA. Now that's a double drone pull, and it is buying a lot of time, or the probe is buying a lot of time delaying that hatchery.
Oh.
However, OyA might have overstepped. He's gonna... Oh, wow. Dangerous.
It's dead.
It is gone. Yeah, OyA, as soon as it went in again, I was like, that was a mistake. And he gets instantly punished. And having to send out a second probe this early in the game does impact OyA's build quite a bit. Now, the trutaCz is going to go take bottom right as his third base. Now, if you're Protoss and you sniff out the third hatch at bottom right, does this tell you anything about Zerg's intentions?
Not necessarily. Only that if you do go for a speed lot timing, it is going to be harder for Zerg to defend because it's hard to get Hydras across from your natural to that third base. And it looks like Tannen just in time. Looks like the Overlord. Okay, looks like it's going to escape. And only one Ling goes down. That it's a little bit painful. You never want to lose early Lings, but 3 is basically the same as 4. It's not like going from 2 to 1.
Now, OyA did send that probe out, and trutaCz saw it. Okay, I was wondering if he was going to send his Lings back to search for it. OyA doesn't find the hatchery at the mineral only.
Okay, it looks like trutaCz's gas was a little bit too fast, or maybe it was the lost minerals from having 2 drones fighting that probe, but his lair is a little bit slow compared to the amount of gas he has. Looks like he did pull one drone off gas because he had too much. And here we go, the probe. Nope, it goes down.
Wow, another probe falling, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see another probe being sent out. However, more than likely, he's just going to wait for the Zealot to move. At least he confirmed that a lair was going up, but, you know, this is Zerg. They could have canceled it and put down a Hydrogen. Overlord sees the Cybernetics, is about 90% done, so Stargate or Citadel follow-up is going to be coming in pretty soon. Meanwhile, we saw this yesterday with Zeke able to pick off the top probe and bottom probe. In this position, a little bit better cannon placement. For now, OyA is only having his top mineral patch denied, but this is one of the hard parts about Blue Storm. Meanwhile, second gas already done for OyA in his natural.
Yeah, so this is not going to be some kind of speed lock plays, just playing standard here. And every time I look at this map in this matchup, I just remember Dragon against Michael, one hatch Hydra, and how the cannons just can never get up.
Yeah, I knew somebody played one hatch Hydra, and okay, now I remember it's versus Michael. For some reason, I thought it was Tai2, because, you know, Tai2 just pulled out like the wonkiest stuff ever, and it wouldn't have surprised me to see Tai2 pull that out. Meanwhile, Stargate and Citadel coming down, 450 Citadel, so pretty standard opener for OyA. Meanwhile, that is a lot of lings, and it's going to run into the main, and two of them make it in, but both of them took a cannon shot, so they don't have the most health. However, more lings are being built by trutaCz. He's going to try and make it ugly, gets into the mineral alignment and just backs off. I don't think this is going to do that much damage, really.
Yeah, OyA did make a very fast second cannon. Now, this wall at the natural, it could actually be a lot better. The pylon could be where that gap is, and then all of a sudden you're working with a 2-gap wall. There's not this huge gap between the gateway and the nexus, but trutaCz is pulling up lings. You can see them hanging outside around the third area of where OyA's third would be, and he has to be careful here. It's only 2 cannons. The Zealot is here at the back. Does he have any more Zealots?
Oh,
looks like both Zealots going into the main. This is actually disastrous. This game can end right now. There's nothing defending these cannons. What's the reaction time for? Looks like the 2 lings from the main come back, and he's picking off these 2 cannons. No defense here. This game could end now.
Yeah, it is over.
Like 3 Zealots. They're surrounding the Zerg, surrounding the Zealots. He's trying to run away, but no cannons up, and this game's done.
Yeah, this game is going to be completely over. Natural is going to be ransacked unless the probes have the best drill I've ever seen. He's going to focus down the pylon on the gateway to make sure that that gateway cannot build any more Zealots. Meanwhile, trutaCz is supply blocked, so if OyA is able to somehow stabilize, the follow-up attack is not going to be the strongest for trutaCz, but OyA just taps out, and unfortunately, losing those probes so quickly, trutaCz turned on the kill switch and just simply overran OyA there. And as you mentioned, the wall, that was a big gap. That was a bit of a mistake there. But I thought trutaCz might get denied if a couple more Zealots moved or were built. But as soon as I saw the second one move into the main, I thought, oh, this game's done.
In PvZ, there's a moment where Zergling speed finishes, and you only have 1 Zealot. So usually if you have a 2-gap wall, you're going to have to clog it with a probe, but this is a 4 or 5-gap wall, and both Zealots were occupied in the main dealing with the Zerglings. Once I saw that second Zealot head towards the main, I realized this game was over. No way to defend.
Yeah, he just didn't have the Sim City, and even at the end, once he saw the lings, he didn't even react that fast with the probes. He didn't even drill with the probes either. Like, you could see they got stuck on the cannon, so there was just no hope for OyA there. And he does lose game 1, and you know, you never want to be down 0-1 versus someone like trutaCz, but Blue Storm is such a hard map for both races that I don't think OyA should think about it too much. You know, it's kind of a weird map. However, what I would think about is, wow, trutaCz, someone who generally just plays pretty normal like Hydras, I'm surprised that he went for mass ling. So now OyA's got to be thinking about, okay, well, am I playing Eon Zerg here? Like, if there's ever a small gap, am I just going to get pounced on instantly? I think OyA needs to start considering that, because when I think of trutaCz, I don't think of him making moves like that.
Yeah, I think trutaCz saw the wall, and he's like, okay, this wall is pretty big. It was actually very key that those 2 links got in, because otherwise OyA would have just had Zealots at the front, and then that's a completely different hold. But those 2 lanes getting in, even though I don't think they got any probe kills, it really distracted the Zealot away from the front, and that's how trutaCz was able to end the game.
Yeah, so we are going to wait now for OyA's map pick. If you're a Protoss player, out of all the maps,
Polypoid. Polypoid would be my pick, but Eclipse is also good because you get that instant scout off, and it's not like Blue Storm where Zerg has a ton of options on how to cheese you. This is a much calmer map.
Yeah, we can see the statistics on the right side here. It's actually favored for Protoss. 46% win rate only for Zerg. That's rare. You rarely see a map favored for Protoss versus the Zerg. So let's get into game 2, find out if trutaCz closes it out, or if OyA can get his first win on the board. Right, in the top right position are Blue Protoss. It is OyA, and in the bottom left position are Red Zerg, coming off of a very, very killer move. It is trutaCz. Now, top right, is there anything we should know about top right that is, different from bottom left? Does getting top right affect any of your decisions here, or does it not really matter?
No, it's both spawns are pretty easy to wall. You're gonna have a 1 or 2 gap wall depending on how you do it, but it's not gonna be like Blue Storm. Most modern maps have allowed Protoss to just skip the part of the game where they have to stress out about how to wall against Zerg. So at least we won't see a game end with mass lanes in the mid game.
Well, we might if OyA sends out a bunch of zealots and is not aware of his actual position in the game. We may see a backstab, I guess, but yeah, I don't.
Okay,
think
cute scouting from OyA. This is just so the Overlord doesn't see it come, and then trutaCz is going to be wondering what is this scout? Is this proxy 2 gate?
Oh, this might actually be. Oh well, This is very weird because he's sending down another probe to build. Is that going to be a forge? I think it would be. No, it's going to be a gate. Now, what's the reasoning for sending this probe in so fast? And he shows it.
Okay, this is because it's a gate. I'm not really sure, but I think he's just throwing off trutaCz's scouting because the Overlord would see it normally, and he doesn't see it now. But it's just an overpool here. This is not.
Go ahead.
This is not a 12 hatch, which I've often seen trutaCz do on this map. But let's see how this affects OyA's build, because his economy is going to take a hit here with this pylon scout.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that it was a gate follow-up, because I also, when he went in, I thought, okay, well, he's scouting to see the pool timing, whether he can go Nexus first. But then the gate was already built. I'm very confused. Now, anyways, Moontang Spacewalk, thank you so much for the massive donation, $100. That is a huge donation. Thank you so much for supporting the BSL. We're almost to the halfway mark of getting enough support to make BSL 13 happen. Now, that probe, I think, is dead, because in my experience, ever trying to escape, I always hit a ledge or something and they catch up to me. But looks like trutaCz has shown a little bit of mercy. He's going to back off. Now, this is a cute move. Just like OyA, he's going to send the Lings around the bottom side of the map, and I don't expect OyA to expect this at all.
Yeah, but OyA has to know, because he hasn't scouted trutaCz, he doesn't actually know how many Lings. He can't just move across the map, because he could just fight 6 Lings straight off the bat with 1 Zealot and lose. So he is keeping that 1 Zealot in the middle, somewhat hidden, and he did keep the 2nd Zealot back. And there we go, instantly retreating.
Oh, no.
And this is gonna be dicey, but the game's not over, because the 2nd Zealot was kept back, and it's gonna come down to who has the better multitask.
Well, I'm watching the gas for trutaCz very, very closely, because he's approaching 100 gas. Gonna keep close eyes on that mineral count also. If he uses 150 minerals, then we know it's a lair. If we just use 100, we know it's speed, and it's not anything just yet. It is going to be speed. So we're going to have speedlings coming in. I think it takes about a minute. He gets a probe kill there. And if he draws enough units out of position, we may see another Ling attack. He takes out a 2nd probe, man.
Okay, 1 lane goes down for 2 probes. Like I said, the net here is much easier to completely block. He has 2 zealots at the net. He's not bringing any more into the main. Doesn't want any more links to get in. He needs to get that forge down though, the cannon down.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
he's moving out. Okay, this
is what I was talking about. If trutaCz makes lings here and he sends lings along the bottom side of the map, we may have another ling flood. Just kill him. I think if this is Eon Zerg, almost 50% of the time at least, this is what he would go for. So hopefully OyA gets a zealot and cannon up in time to stall this potential ling attack. Meanwhile, Link's in the main again, kill another probe. They have 4 probe kills already. Oh, those zealots are dead. And that's going to be a complete denial of this attack from OyA. OyA is in big time trouble now.
Yeah, OyA should realize with that speed timing, this is not lair. This is speed first. He doesn't actually know if it's lair follow-up or just more speedlings or even hydras. He's going to be completely in the dark here.
Yeah, and that zealot does move into a sweep position at the 3rd base. However, it's going to get taken out too. And I think OyA cleaned up the lings in his main. So overall, trutaCz in the driver's seat. Look how slow that cybernetics is. That's a 5-minute cybernetics. Put that in perspective. Citadel started at 5 minutes last game. Like, that's so far behind. Of course, trutaCz's build is behind too. His lair was delayed, but he is in a much better. Oh, he doesn't even have a lair. He's just going into mass hatchery man.
Yeah, and I think this is a good response to what OyA is doing. He knows OyA's tech is going to be very late, so he can just drone up here after deflecting all those zealots. I think he did make maybe 6 to 8 too many lings, but that's perfectly fine here. He can drone up off these 3, soon to be 4 hatcheries very quickly.
Yeah, I don't think he overlinged that much. He's got good econ across all of his bases. Look at that, 8 drones there. He's got 4 hatches. He's going to have his 5th and 6th hatch coming up pretty soon. Hydra Den's already done. Yep, there's the 5th hatch right there. I'm sure he's going to be getting speed or range on his Hydras pretty soon. Meanwhile, Forge is starting that upgrade. What is that? Oh, I think that's the extractor. I thought that might have been another building in the natural of trutaCz. But everything looks pretty good for trutaCz so far. Meanwhile, we don't know what the tech is for OyA. Okay, it's going to be Stargate, of course. He's going to be getting +1 weapon on air. You got Citadel and Second Gate coming in. So he is starting to get up and running. However, look at that cannon timing. That is a waste of 150 minerals, and that's going to stall his build quite a bit too.
Yeah,
and
critically
going in the net.
Critically, none of his zealots actually got to the natural to see what was there, because if he ever got the sense that this was a 4th hatch or didn't see anything other than 1 hatchery at the natural, then he would, with the speed timing, realize, okay, this wasn't lair. I don't need these extra cannons. What this could be is 3 hatch Hydra, which would be hitting or would have already hit. So I'm not really sure what he suspects here, but this can't be Mutas.
Yeah, it can't be Mutas at this point. It's a little bit too late now. Meanwhile, 5 hatch Hydra moving across the map with speed on the Citadel should be done pretty soon. Meanwhile, Ser comes in here and sees no lair, so now he knows that, this is going to be a lot of Hydras on my doorstep in a second. And you can see he instantly puts down a couple more gateways.
Oh man, this is so bad for OyA because he's going to have to make so many cannons. His core timing was so late. His archives is going to be so late. He's going to need so many cannons to hold off Hydras. And again, this isn't even all in from trutaCz. He's fully saturated already. He has full drone saturation.
Well, at least he saw it in time where he's not going to outright die to the Hydras. However, he's going to have to build so many cannons. You can see he's built 4. The Forge might be on the brink of getting popped. Oh, wow. He might actually die because trutaCz recognizes that, hey, you don't even have a cannon at the front. He pops the first one. Cannons in the back are just now going to morph in. But OyA's going to have to trade out all of his zealots simply to not die. But taking down that first cannon might allow him to be able. Oh, is that an Artosis pylon? No, it's not. He's going to try and focus down that back cannon. He gets it. More zealots are trying to run through, but they're just dying because the lings are soaking up all the hits, and this is just a meat grinder.
Yeah, cannon's now very exposed here. They're getting picked off one by one. And now the wall is exposed. Forge is going to go down soon, and if this Forge goes down, he's not going to be able to make any more cannons. And like I said, his storm timing is going to be so late. There's no way to defend from Mass Hydra with just Zealots. You need some kind of splash, and here we go. Zealots moving out. He is on 3 to 4 gateways, but again, the Hydra reinforcements are arriving here. It's like decent micro here from OyA.
Well, he does get on top of a lot of the Hydras. They're not all synced up, so OyA having a better trade than expected. He's got, oh no, he just runs straight into the natural. He's going to pick off that cannon. Meanwhile, the Zealots in the back are trading more effective than I was anticipating. However, reinforcements from trutaCz are more than likely going to end this game. However, trutaCz is on the brink of being massively supply blocked. There are 2 Sayers doing work, but 1 DT moving, 2 DTs moving out is going to, no, it's not going to save the day. There's an Overlord in position, and that forces trutaCz or OyA to morph an Archon because he can't get Storm in time.
Not what you want to see when you're getting Hydra busted. But there we go. There's nothing else here for OyA. No units left. Cannons go down. Archon pops instantly. And, I mean, this DT was the only thing keeping him alive, but now the Overlord is here, able to detect.
Yep, and that is going to be game over because the Sayers got cleaned up. trutaCz is able to reinforce his army, and he takes an easy 2-0 win versus OyA. OyA just had a big misread there, never getting into the Zerg's base and seeing what was actually going on, wasting all those resources on the cannon, not able to streamline his build, and trutaCz just pounced on him as soon as he saw that cannon was not finished.
You combine the late cybernetics core with the fact that he invested into +1 air and 2 additional cannons that did nothing against the Hydras. It was just tough from the opening. Those 2 lings getting in, or 4 lings getting in, killed several probes and forced him to move out. I think the reason he moved out more than anything was to kill the lings in the main, because you want to distract the Zerg so you can deal with the link threat, but never scouting really hurt OyA in that game.
Yeah, and it was just all trutaCz afterwards. He had complete control of the game. He knew exactly what Protoss was doing, and he just executed his build perfectly. So trutaCz makes an easy victory over OyA. OyA, you know, the hope to go to the finals before this tournament started, well, he's potentially going to be eliminated in the round of 16 because kogeT is obviously a very strong Terran player. But this is setting up our winners match. It's going to be trutaCz versus Gypsy, a ZVT. But before we find out who's going to move on into the round of 8, we're going to go into a quick commercial break.
There's nothing defending here, so if Jaeyoon gets in, he really has to just get the lings inside. All the probes get pulled. The lings do not connect with the cannon, though, and the Zealots are out. There's 2 Zealots with a bunch of probes. This is going to be so close, but I feel like DeWalt is going to barely defend. No, I don't know. The cannon's going to go down, and now more lings are going to trickle down. The cannon does go down.
He needs to pop that probe. There's also a tiny gap on the top probe, but the cannon might barely get up. You can see
he's going to get in!
He's going to get it. And if he surrounds this cannon, this might be game over. I think it is game over.
Close. I mean, there's a second Zealot popping out. So Jaeyoon, he can't. It's not over just yet, but this is. Oh my god, this is just absolutely sick play here from Jaeyoon. Probes get pulled, but I mean the thing is, Zerg's not even all in at this point. He has a full economy, like 3 bases, 3.5 saturated, or 2.5 saturated. But yeah, look at this micro, and range is gonna kick in soon. Zealots are just completely helpless against Hydralists at this stage of the game.
Yeah, ranged Hydras with speed, and all of the Zealots are gonna fall, and the probes are gonna fall, and that's gonna be DeWalt. He's gonna lose game 1, and remember, this is best of 1. You can't lose games. There's you have nothing to fall back on. It's not best of 3, so he's in the losers bracket. Yep, there it is, +1. I was about to say in 10 seconds, and it has kicked in, but the SimCity is great, so these 5 Zealots obviously not gonna be enough to pop this down. kogeT has
that's a lot of Overlords though.
Yeah, and they're all gonna die if he goes for the engagement here. He's gonna see all these Overlords. Oh, the Mutalisks moved out of position too, and so did the Corsairs.
And it's just 1 sunken and a bunch of drones versus +1 Zealots. So much damage gonna come here for kogeT. He does have a lot of Scourge, but that's only gonna kill. Maybe it only kills, well, it kills 2 Corsairs, but the rest of the Mutalisks are not going to be enough to fight these Corsairs, and the Zealots are just completely destroying that base. kogeT is getting picked apart here.
He's gonna get picked. He's gonna get blocked, and he's not gonna be able to build any units. He's focusing down the hatchery. He wants that base. There's only a single Ling attacking it. This Overlord gets taken out. He's gonna be blocked.
Dude,
This is over.
is Jaeyoon gonna get out of this group in first place with an absolute legend? Jaeyoon will be able to stop Gornich from taking this fourth base.
He stormed his own ob though, so he may actually be able to hold this base with just a couple lurkers. Storms are missing. They're missing that one lurker that's just sitting there, but it doesn't matter because it's still 70 supply to 170 there. Now the storms hit everything.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredibly played here from Jaeyoon, and GG comes out. Gornich taps out, and Jaeyoon's first out of this group.
Welcome back, guys. We just saw trutaCz blast OyA, and he's going to be in the winner's match versus Gypsy, which is what we're going to be going into now. It's going to be a TVZ on Tower Cross. This should be a very exciting matchup. You know, yesterday I talked about one of the best games of all time being Jaedong versus Flash on Tower Cross in 2010. Actually, one of the best, most exciting games ever. It was a WCG game too. So that made it even more exciting. Curiosity, did you check out that game? Tell me you told me that you've seen that game.
I'm not 100% sure.
Are
if I've seen
you?
it.
How has nobody seen this? Gypsy yesterday also never saw it. I can't believe it, man. That's literally one of the most exciting Tower Cross games in particular ever. So this map has a lot of potential for TVZ. We'll see if it can get to mid-game though, because this is a very devastating map for muta harassment. You can also see lurker drops quite often on here. That is something that Gypsy needs to be aware of. You may even see something like crazy, like a Vulture drop if Gypsy goes for like a 10-10-10. There's all types of builds that you can see on this map.
No, this is very classic map. Very open map as well. And I think for TVZ, it's just with the way the meta has developed over the years, you could see anything, any viable opening in this map.
Yeah, if this was kogeT versus trutaCz, this map can be walled in your main. I think 100% of the time we'd see Raid, but it's not kogeT. This Gypsy really does tend to play just pure bio, like 2 racks opener with fast academy, fast range. However, with the ledge over your natural, mutas do become a little bit hard to defend, so we may see something like a Valkyrie opener. Also, bottom middle does not have the minerals up against the wall, and that makes defending mutas even that much harder. So really, Gypsy needs to pray to the StarCraft gods here. He does not get bottom middle, because if I was Zerg and I saw Terran at bottom middle, all of a sudden, whatever game plan I had going into the game is going to be shifted into maybe pure Mutalist play with +1 armor and just abuse that open mineral line. Also, the choke at Tower Cross, also like from your main to your nat, has that small gap, and there's that ledge over there too where you can go in and out of vision, so you can pick off Marines left and right, and they can never be in high numbers funneling through there. So Gypsy's got to be very, very careful to not bleed Marines that way, which is why I also think we may see a Valkyrie opening here. But that may not come to fruition. I know Gypsy does like the 2-rack play. So, and after seeing game 1 versus kogeT, he may decide that, hey, I don't really want to play a real game on here. He might just opt into an 8-racks like we saw Dandy go for yesterday.
Yeah, this is also very common to see ARACs on this map. You can see the middle of the map is all buildable.
Yeah, you can proxy anywhere here. You can also proxy factory and float it in their base. There's a lot of proxy shenanigans you can do as Terran here. So players are ready. Let's get into our first game of the winners match. It's going to be Gypsy versus trutaCz on Towcross. Okay, so Gypsy got a good spawn in the mid left, our blue Terran. It is Gypsy, and in the bottom middle in the red, Polish Zerg. It is trutaCz. As you can see, the minerals at this position, not against the wall, which is always what you want as Terran. You do not want to be building turrets at the top side, the bottom side, and then also to the right side. That's just so many resources you have to actually spend to simply defend mutas. It's crazy, this position. So already Gypsy with a bit of luck on his side. Now we don't see any SCVs moving out, so Gypsy is not going to go for any craziness, at least not just yet. I expect trutaCz to go for just a standard 12 hatch, but because this map you can get walled in by a depot, he may open with an early pool, something like a 12 pool or an over pool. We have to wait and see.
If I'm correct, you can get a depot in that choke, and then drones can't get out. Links can fit, but drones cannot get out.
Yeah, I think that is correct. So 8 racks all of a sudden becomes almost unstoppable since the drones can't deny it. Shad, thank you so much for the massive donation again. You can see that he is rooting for the Polish players, trutaCz and kogeT in this group. So hopefully one of your superstars makes it through. You're going to have a tough time because this lineup is so stacked. Meanwhile, that is an early pool. So trutaCz is respecting the fact that he could get walled in. And meanwhile, we see that Gypsy so far just playing standard.
Yeah, overpool from trutaCz. Doesn't want to go 12 hats and die instantly to an 8 racks. And Gypsy going with the standard scout. And there's a drone going out for trutaCz as well.
Yeah, so no gas for Gypsy. It's not going to be any type of tech build. Was not expecting that at all. Meanwhile, overpool's about to finish pretty soon. trutaCz thought he might be scouting the center of the map, but he doesn't scout all of the positions for it, so he is just going to go directly to the main and find Gypsy in that position. And when he comes in here, he's going to realize that, okay, well, the overpool did not go according to plan. Now, my personal opinion of overpool is you have to go into gas afterwards. If you go into overpool into 3 hatch, I don't see what you're abusing from Terran's point of view. You're not really abusing the fact that Terran doesn't have critical mass for a long time. So we need to see that gas from trutaCz. There goes down 2. Oh no, it's not. Those were links running by. So already, I'm really not liking trutaCz's position in here. However, if he can deny the SCV, that would be great for him.
I would say we don't usually see overpool in this matchup, so this is a map-specific opener from trutaCz just to not go 12 hats. But what I do see way more often is gas trick 9 pool. So you get that extra drone, but you still go 9 pool, and your lings are out much faster. But one of the reasons I think overpool was seen is because this map doesn't have a ramp, so there's no easy way for Gypsy to block this off against 6 lings. And we do see him making a bunker here. He's not going to complete it. This is just to have a decent. Wait, what's he doing?
I think that is actually a full wall, that particular spot. Now, meanwhile, the SCV has been denied, and that means that he's not able to confirm the gas timing for trutaCz. For all he knows, this could be 3 hatch. It could be some absurdly fast gas timing from trutaCz, like, you know, like a 2-minute gas. Maybe not that fast, but a really fast gas. We see this was a 2:40 or so gas, so this is actually not the fastest. So we need to make sure, or Terran needs to make sure that they don't build turrets at an inopportune time. Meanwhile, he pops one of the lings in an instant. And SCB, yeah, he's not going to be able to get out. Oh, what? He does manage to actually juke the lings for now. Meanwhile, 3rd hatch is going for trutaCz. I knew that that gas was a little bit too late for him, and I really am not too sure of this particular opener. I'm really a bigger fan of 2 hatch lair, and I think Gypsy is going to be able to abuse this opener because the mutas are not going to be able to deal as much damage as you think they're going to be able to deal.
Yeah, we see Gypsy. The only thing that hurt his build is the fact that he's going to have to float this command center over. But compare this to a 12 hatch opener where Zerg has way better economy than an overpull. trutaCz tech and economy is delayed here.
And we see that the second Rax is about to finish for Gypsy. Meanwhile, Lair is done. Spire's going to be starting pretty soon. Gypsy starting to mine gas. Academy, I imagine, is probably close to finishing at this point, maybe about halfway. Meanwhile, trutaCz has a lot of lings being built, and Gypsy did not really have any SimCity. Okay, he does have bunker going up now. That needs to be a depot. Okay, he is just going to... Oh, I thought he was going to leave that SCV in position. That is a dangerous enough amount of lings that it could get into the main and get a couple of marine kills. Oh my gosh, he's continuing to ling all in. Okay, Gypsy instantly sees it and reacts, but that bunker is going to die. He's going to try and save it. This might be a mistake. There are so many lings here. Oh, look at that SimCity. He built another bunker in trutaCz's face, but he needs to pull some more SCVs here.
Yeah, more lings coming in. He's trying to get us around here. Gypsy microing the Marines further down, but the SCVs aren't blocking. But the SCVs do so much damage. All he has to do is hold here. Looks like the bunker about to finish. Looks like 2 more Marines go down. He gets the bunker up. And again, this is 3 hatch, so trutaCz is going to be making a ton of lings. But I think the worst of it is already over for Gypsy. He's successfully held the first big attack.
Well, more lings are coming. It's not over yet. Spire is almost done, and Gypsy's marine count is non-existent. This could throw Gypsy's build off completely. Firebat coming out. That doesn't hit air. Meanwhile, trutaCz is starting to bank up his resources now. He's got 500 gas. He doesn't have that many minerals, but he will be able... Oh, can't lose that turret. I don't know if that was a cancel or not, but lings are going to run into the main. Now turrets are coming up, and now it's getting ugly. Gypsy, who had a nice hold, everything's falling apart now.
Okay, what's that there at the academy? Looks like that's still not done. More lings coming in. The firebats are actually now out in the open. They can get picked off pretty easily by the lings. More firebats being made. He does have turrets up, but the lings can surround them and pick them off easily. And trutaCz still banking up gas. He hasn't made any overlords. Looks like there's still just more lings on the way.
Yeah, another potential ling victory. We've seen so many ling victories this season in BSL. Firebats are not going to save the day. The lings are still doing so much work. Now maybe stem is kicked in. No, he hasn't used it just yet. I don't know where his stem is, or if he just doesn't want to use it. However, he's going to lose this bunker at his natural now, and lings are easily going to overrun Gypsy. He's completely falling apart.
There's stem on the firebats, but again, without SCV support, they can get easily surrounded and picked off. And we finally saw some gas get spent by trutaCz, and the Nat has fallen. Lings are flooding into the main. I think this game's over. There's no way for Gypsy to stabilize from this position. He just has no units.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any attacking units. More firebats are popping out, but we know that Mutalisks are going to be coming pretty soon. And this is going to be game 1. Going over to trutaCz with a really nice ling flood. It looked dicey after Gypsy kind of stabilized the first attack, but the secondary attack caught Gypsy off guard. Lings get into the main. They have now dealt game-ending amounts of damage. Firebats don't hit air, and we're going to see the GG any moment now. It's funny because there's only 2 Mutalisks. Like, if Marines pop out and gets the turret up, he could stabilize. Oh, but those are Firebats, man.
Yeah, no medics have been made. Gypsy just barely trying to hold on. There's a bunker at the natural, but there's no units there, and there's the GG from Gypsy.
He taps out, and you know that Gypsy is not happy about that loss. His marine control with the SCVs, and him just flat out just building another bunker in trutaCz's face, I was like, holy moly, this guy. He's not worried at all. I was very impressed with the marine control and SCV control, but in the end, it was just way too many lings. He didn't expect it to be that many lings. I don't know how many extra lings trutaCz got from that 3rd hatch. Like, it could have been the same result with 2 hatch or not. But regardless, trutaCz today has turned on some type of switch that we don't see often, and all the players in the group need to be very cautious versus him. Whether trutaCz makes it out in first here or not, he's looking very deadly today.
Yeah, I want to point out one thing that definitely affected the outcome of this game was the map. The fact that the Nat here isn't so easily wallable. If this were any other map from a more modern map, I should say, you can get a depot up and with a bunker, it's very hard for Lynx to get a full surround. But Gypsy didn't have a depot. He just had the bunker. It was very exposed, and then it went down. It did look for a moment there like he was going to stabilize, but trutaCz was able to maneuver around the natural, also getting to the main, and then from there it just snowballed.
Yeah, games can snowball very quickly when Terran loses a lot of Marines in the early games, obviously. So we're going to be going into game 2. This is going to be Gypsy's map pick. I would be picking Polyport or Eclipse here 100% of the time. There's no reason to pick any of the other maps. Tau-Cross you don't practice, Blue Storm you don't practice, Blindside you don't practice. I mean, Eclipse and Polyploid are in the ladder pool, so you're going to have a ton of practice on there. I actually have to look up what the other remaining maps are because they're not coming to me. Let me take a look real quick. Oh, Power Bond and Shakura's Temple. So I would pick Shakura's Temple also potentially. That's another good Terran map. Or Power Bond, but I mean, you don't have that much experience on Power Bond unless you've been playing for, you know, the past 2 years or so where it was also in BSL. And there is the map pick from Gypsy. He is going to pick Shakura's Temple. You can see the win rate here, 66% for Terran versus Zerg. Just an insanely high win rate. So not a shocker here. So let's get into game 2 between Gypsy, our Canadian star, and he's going to be facing off against trutaCz, who's looking to end the series in a 2-0 fashion. So in the bottom right, in the red, looking more dangerous than ever, it is trutaCz. And in the top left in the blue, coming off of a somewhat heartbreaking loss, it is Gypsy. Now Shakura's Temple, this is a much easier position to go for that SimCity that you talked about. Of course, it is a ladder map, so Gypsy has tons of experience here, so he should be able to have a better result versus trutaCz. Meanwhile, of course, trutaCz obviously has played this map quite a bit. Now, my experience of TVZ here is I end up facing Ultra style quite often, so we'll see if that's going to be a potential build order choice for trutaCz.
Yeah, trutaCz, I have seen him go Crazy Zerg where he just goes mutas directly into Ultralist with upgrades. What do you think about this map? What makes it such a Terran map?
I'm not sure exactly what makes it such a good Terran map, but it just seems like a decent Terran map. I think because you can get your 4 bases without, again, really moving very much, kind of like how Polyploid, you can get 4 bases. It's just a great Terran map when you don't really have to move that far to defend all your bases. Also, all the bases have gas. Like, that's fantastic. Now, this sometimes becomes a dilemma for Terran because when you start scanning, looking for where the third base is, Zerg, for example, could have bottom middle right next to his base. He could have mid right right next to his base. He could have top right. He could have bottom left. It's hard to evaluate what Zerg is actually doing. Like, are they all inning me? Do they have a third base somewhere out in the map? That's what makes Shakura's Temple hard for me, is finding where that third base is. Like, if I'm playing versus Jaeyoon, for all I know, it could be at mid left, right next to my base. Like, it is hard to find the third base and figure out what's going on. Now, we do see double scout going out for Gypsy. He doesn't know where trutaCz is, and based on how trutaCz is playing today, I think this is a wise move to go for a double scout, confirm that this is just going to be a safe opener.
Yeah, it was just 12 hatch, and Gypsy went for the standard scout timing with the 11 racks, and looks like he's just going to get to trutaCz's base now. Cross map ZVT, it's kind of awkward for trutaCz to now get an overlook to Gypsy's natural. Looks like he even made the command center on the high ground. That's a little bit curious.
Yeah, I don't know what triggered that, but he has decided that the command center on the high ground is a better option. Now, even though this is not the ideal move with the command center, what this does do is it tricks trutaCz into thinking that this is potentially a 1-1-1 opener. And that is going to allow Gypsy to get away with murder here. He's going to be able to go into what's likely going to be +1 weapon, because that gas is way too fast for an academy. And it's going to force a sunken from trutaCz. If trutaCz was to go mass laying into a potential 1-1 opener, well, just give this guy the victory because he's playing with fire here. Easily vultures could come in here and just ruin your day. So we should see a sunken colony come up, and we shouldn't see that many lings get built by trutaCz. But as I say that, there's another round of lings, and I'm getting nervous now because Gypsy doesn't have that many units.
Okay, so I mean, you normally would already see the sunken complete by this time. A vulture would be hitting the natural, but trutaCz doesn't seem concerned at all, and he's pulling up links. He has a ton of links here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, okay, wow. SCV's going to come in here and spot the lings. When he comes in here and sees the lings and that there's no sunken, he's going to be wondering, like, okay, why did you build lings here when I showed a 1-1-1 opener? Okay, he needs to get a bunker up right now. Otherwise, if lings move across the map like they're doing, this is probably over because the bunker's going to be too late.
What? Oh, no.
It's over.
It's 4 Marines versus the first 4 lings. But more lings are on the way. He's pulling SCVs right away. Bunker positioning is a little bit exposed. I wonder why he didn't make it closer to a ramp. There's no way for him to repair that quickly. More lings arriving here, and now he's going to get the full surround, and GG.
So, as I stated just a minute ago, trutaCz very dangerous today. He's liking the lings, and I don't know. Because that is so dangerous to build mass ling into vulture. Sure, you're going to kill the vulture, probably. However, you're highly committed. You have no econ buy. Absolutely none. And that is very risky to do that. However, Gypsy mind game there. He expected trutaCz to go for the sunken. Not the case. And he gets punished. You could see that he knew the lings were coming. The secondary scout was fantastic. That was amazing. I would have never done that. Because I would have just assumed that it's a sunken colony. And I would have died. So the secondary scout from Gypsy was amazing. However, you need to realize that the bunker's not going to get up on time, and he does just end up dying there. So, unfortunately, Gypsy is going to be knocked out into the deciders match, but he's not out just yet. And forget who just gave the donation, but one of your superstars made it out. trutaCz, he's going to be moving on into the round of 8.
Yeah, very easy victories for trutaCz in this round of 16. He 3 ling all-ins and Hydra bust against OyA. Very, very easy.
Yeah, everything fell into place for trutaCz today. I don't know what has triggered the ling all in. Maybe he's got an appointment. He's like, yeah, let me just get this out of the way. I'm gonna just ling all in all these people and get into the round of 8 win in 4-0 fashion. So now we're gonna be going into OyA versus kogeT, but before we get into that, we are going to go into a break, and then we're going to find out who's going to be eliminated from Group B.
From the right side,
Storms are beautiful. They hit a lot of the Hydralisk, and this might just be too many goons. Look at these exposed hatcheries. Dragoons can just range them down. That's going to be 1 hatchery going down, I think. There's really not that many Hydras on the bottom side, but Dragon does need to reinforce. He still has a couple storms available. There's one right there. He even has, I think, another storm on that Templar. Dragoons are starting to dwindle. No, they're not, actually. They're holding strong for now. Meanwhile, Dragon is rallying across the map. Look at supply. It's 123 to 67. Has Dragon done it? Or can Dragon bust through this top left base? The lurkers are just barely in the nick of time.
oh my god, this is chaos here. So many zealots, but so many lurkers. Looks like the storm goes down on those clump lurkers. All of the lurkers go down. Zealots go down as well, but Dragon is just flooding in here with more units. Just so many zealots.
But oh, I don't even know where that observer is, but he finds the kill onto that lone lurker, and this looks like what's going to break the camel's back. There's nothing left for trutaCz. He's down to 60 supply, 160 for Dragon, and it looks like he's going to be the one to make it out of this group in first place. Oh, but Gypsy's getting clumped up again. Remember, we saw like a stasis hit 7 tanks. Oh, this is going to be the engagement right here.
Here we go, Gypsy. Nice siege timing there. Tanks in the back are on mines, but there's not any mines in the front. No stasis quite yet. There's the stasis on the front tanks. They are getting clumped up. One gets D-Matrix. The Dragoons have a nice concave, but there's no zealots left.
Oh, there's a lot of mines on top of those tanks in the back, but look how many just flat out tanks our Zealots are going to try and drag onto those tanks in the back line. Supplies are plummeting for GhostArk. Meanwhile, about 20 tanks survive, and those stasis, even though they hit a lot of tanks, they were on the frontal tanks, which means that the goons did not have easy access onto the back line. And now Gypsy is just going to wait for his reinforcing vultures and probably just a move to victory. Push. Meanwhile, GhostArk is trying to take mid left, but oh, that's a great EMP, and Gypsy knows that he can't be stopped. Now, you do see he is queuing up tanks and vultures, so maybe he doesn't know about the carriers.
Yeah, but at this point, it doesn't even matter. He's winning these fights convincingly, and he's already killed the 3rd and 4th bases from GhostArk. So GhostArk, there's a scan. He sees the extra Stargates. Probably is going to cancel his vultures, queue up some Goliaths, and GG.
Yeah, there is the GG. Alright guys, we are back. We're about to get into the losers match of the day. Surprisingly, it is going to be OyA versus kogeT. So one of these stars is going to be eliminated just instantly from the round of 16. kogeT looked pretty good versus Gypsy earlier. However, Gypsy a little bit too strong. Meanwhile, OyA kind of fell apart versus trutaCz. trutaCz today is just bamboozling everybody with pure lane. So we'll see if OyA can fulfill his destiny and continue his run in BSL, or if it's going to end this time around in BSL12. Now, Seriosity, you were telling me a little bit about OyA and kogeT's history, and it doesn't look too bright for kogeT here.
No, I've seen them play a lot, and usually it ends with a very one-sided OyA victory, but it still can happen. It's a best of 3, and kogeT does like to mix things up in PvP. I would say it's his worst matchup, but it's not like I'm saying he's a weak player in this matchup. Just that he plays better against the other races, basically.
Yeah, and sometimes you just find a player that counters you for whatever reason. So, for example, for some reason, whenever me and In Control played, he just always had my number, or at least the games would go like 40 minutes. I don't know what it was, but we just always, for some reason, would have these epic games. Like you even saw in the remastered launch event, me and him had like a crazy game on Circuit Breakers where he's dropping my main with lurkers. Sometimes people just have your number, so it might be that OyA has kogeT's number here, but if you know you have somebody's number, sometimes you can get a little bit overconfident and make simple mistakes, and maybe we'll see kogeT turn it around this time. Also, it's a tournament. The tournament setting is not the same as offline, or online, of course. So I don't know what statistics you're referencing, whether they're online or offline, but I like kogeT's potential here to take a victory, because my experience watching Gypsy play OyA, Gypsy has good success versus OyA, and I think kogeT and Gypsy are similar level. So I don't think OyA is like a clear favorite, but of course statistics don't lie, so maybe I'm completely wrong. Now, we are going to be on a new map, Blindside. I don't know if you've seen this map. Have you seen this map?
This is going to be a new map for me.
Yeah, it's a new map for everybody. It's made by Minerals. I saw he made an update the other day. It's now not just Blindside, I think it's BSL Lineside. So he's bombasticized the map. Yesterday we saw a crazy game between Avilov and who's the Protoss player?
Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon. How could I forget that? Dragon. He had incredible storms all game long. And we saw a PvP on here too between Dragon and Dandy. Dragon had 6 bases and Dandy had 3. yet Dragon was not able to transition it into a victory. His stasises were a little bit off. There are a lot of ledges, and you would think, okay, well that means advantage for Terran, but actually a lot of the times the players were attacking uphill, and I think that kind of favors Protoss.
Yeah, with the way tank slash works, if you're attacking uphill, the tanks won't directly hit the unit they're targeting, so it really does make a big difference.
Yeah, so kogeT is going to need to be careful in his engagements. There is a surprising amount of ledges on this map, or ramps on this map, and a surprising amount of lack of vision. And there's a lot of bases, so Protoss can be on like 6, 7 bases. We're getting a look at the map here. I mean, look at the top side. You don't even move to the center of the map, and you take all the top, and that's 6 bases. I mean, that's incredible. So let's get into the first game of our losers match. It's going to be OyA versus kogeT. So in the top middle in the blue, our Swedish Protoss player, it is OyA, and in the bottom middle in the red, it is kogeT. Now this map, well, for some reason I thought that SCV was being sent out, and I was like, holy smokes, we're gonna see like a 6 racks or something. However, that is going to be a very, very far forward proxy gate, and I was talking about this yesterday. This map seems like a dream map for somebody like OyA, because there's no chance in hell kogeT will ever scout a proxy from OyA. You can build a proxy pretty much anywhere, whether it's in the middle of the map, the left side, right side, doesn't matter. Looks like OyA has his eyes set on the 3rd base, and he knows kogeT loves to be greedy. kogeT could be thinking about going 14 command center, and we may just see a Zealot walk into the base and there's simply only SCVs to deal with.
So there we have the proxy pylon, and yeah, this, even if this is racks expand or factory expand, it's going to be difficult to deal with such fast zealots.
Yep, so this is going to be a 9 gate from OyA, I imagine. Maybe a 10 gate. We are preparing for battle. And the gateway does come down. Meanwhile, kogeT thankfully builds a racks. I was very, very worried that this was going to be a 14cc. Now gas steel comes in. Everything looks normal.
Right, so just referencing a few statistics between these two, they played in the best of best tour from TQ, where OyA won 4-1. That's where they just play the 5 matches regardless of score. And in the qualifiers for RCG, OyA beat kogeT 1-0, and then in the actual tournament, 2-1. So some recent history between these two players.
Well, kogeT ends up scouting mid-left and finding that proxy gate. I guess he suspected that it would be there. And whoa, that is a second barracks going down.
This is actually, I think, a great response to proxy gate when you get gas stolen, because OyA's tech is going to be so delayed from doing all this. You do the fast scout, you make the proxy pylon, the proxy gate, and you steal the gas. The fact that he's going 2 racks, I think, is probably the best response against this type of build. Of course, it's going to come down to keeping the Marines alive, the early Marines. You can see the Marine wants to get behind the depot so he can shoot the Zealot and then run away.
Okay, look at that. Look at that control with the Marine and SCV. Now, I want to point this as a Terran player. The assimilator placement makes me hate this map. And the reason is if you ever just box select your Marines and A-click, they're going to attack the assimilator and not continue to chase the Zealot. So every time you see the Marines moving like this, it's because kogeT is specifically move commanding those Marines and making sure that they do not get caught on that assimilator. So that is perfect play from kogeT so far. And overall, this is a disaster situation for OyA. Now, meanwhile, we have... Whoa, what happened?
Jumped ahead.
No, there's no second racks anymore. What happened? This is just a completely broken replay, I think. Like, where's the second rack? This is very weird. We have a factory and vulture opener from what am I watching? This is completely different.
All right, so the barracks and depot positioning are the same. We see kogeT making the gas now, but not really sure.
I don't. Okay, I'm honestly not too sure which is the correct game, but I will just say that this doesn't seem like a broken replay because both players are acting like this is the real situation. So we have 10 Marines moving out versus 4 Zealots. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, that this is a good response. Oh my god, that's a lot of Zealots. So, but Marine DPS is crazy once it reaches this, but the Zealots get on top of the Marines, and this might be a disaster for kogeT. However, he still has a lot of Marines left over. 5 Zealots, though, coming in. How did OyA ramp up this many Zealots that quickly? Oh, look at that.
kogeT got overly ambitious there with that forward bunker. I think he should have just waited a little bit. Looks like OyA actually made a second gateway in his main. Looks like bunker gets canceled and kogeT forced back into his main. Not what you want to do. The whole point of the 2 racks is that you're able to kill that gateway right away before Protoss can keep making units from it. But at least kogeT won't die here, and he is getting that factory done.
Yeah, he does have a lot of Marines built up. Meanwhile, OyA still has a lot of Zealots left over. Goon is going to clear out that SCV, and that's a dangerous sign for kogeT because he doesn't know what this is. I don't even know if he got in range of seeing the Nexus. Like, for all he knows, this could be like a DT follow-up. Now, that choke seems pretty nice for holding something like this as a Terran player. He's going to move out. I find this so shocking, but the SCVs in the front are going to body block. That is a lot of Marine DPS behind it, though, and the Goon is not really connecting that well, simply because that ramp is high ground. Now Zealots are going to move in again, and did kogeT overstep here?
So he is going to kill all the Zealots, but now the Marines are very low health, and the Goons can just march forward. He's pulling more SCVs here.
Yeah, SCVs get drilled, and they are going to push the Goons back for now. 2 factory follow-up for kogeT. Meanwhile, SCVs are going extremely deep, and now they are within, or now they can be 2-shotted by these 3 Goons. Marines are still going to take, okay, now 4 Goons are here, so 4 Goons will 1-shot Marines, and I think OyA is just going to take this game in the next couple seconds. kogeT has lost so much.
Yeah, good Dragoon control, just pulling them back after shooting, none of them going down, and there we go. The game ends very quickly.
Yeah. kogeT tapping out there, so OyA takes the win. I don't know what we saw in the live view from one of the players. Oh, it was Gypsy's camera. I'm sitting there watching like, man, what? How is this so different? Because it looks like what we're seeing is not broken. Like, I was so confused. Okay, so that clears that up. So apparently we had Gypsy's camera there. So he's practicing right now, not watching those games. But OyA, he's up 1-0, man, and he's, like I said, I guess he's got kogeT's number. You called it. You pointed out that he's just a killer versus kogeT.
Yeah, and there was a moment where I think kogeT could have stabilized and held on if he just made that bunker at the natural instead of all the way far forward. And that second Zealot from the right side really caught him off guard, and OyA was able to get a really nice surround on those Marines.
Yeah, the Marine count, once it reached 10, I was looking at the Zealot count, and I'm like, well, that's a lot of Zealots, but I know Marines deal a lot of damage, and we may see these Zealots explode, but it seemed like, or I guess it was just a little bit too many Zealots for kogeT to deal with, and the Goons came out pretty darn fast, it seemed, for what we saw. I don't even know if kogeT had an academy. Oh, no, he probably didn't send them into those factories. What do you think about going Marine Medic as a follow-up as opposed to the factory follow-up?
If they don't go DT, it's very effective because you can easily transition out of it. But if they open for, instead of getting Dragoon range, they get a Citadel and they go DT, even though you can get very far across the map with your actual Marine ball, you're so limited on detection that you just die. But if they go for Dragoons and you're going bio, you can easily push back the Protoss and transition from there however you want.
Yeah, we don't know if kogeT ever got into the main of OyA, but if he had and saw that there was no Templar Archive, he may have gone for that academy, but I guess probably because he wasn't able to scout it, He wanted to just go for the more, I guess, trusted opener with the factory follow-up. But unfortunately, that did not work out for him. He's going to be down 1-0. And now it's going to be his pick. So I imagine we're going to see Polypoid or Shakuris. Eclipse is another good map that comes to mind, but I know that a lot of Terran players hate having to deal with the shenanigans that Protoss pulls off in the early game. Or even if they don't go for that, they have a really strong third base plus timing. So I really do expect to see Shakuris or Polypoid. I was watching kogeT stream, and he was talking about how he really likes Shakuris simply because, you know, you don't have to move. You can get those 4 bases very easily. I forget the other reason he gave. Oh, wow. Polypoid, I mean, this is another fantastic map, another map where you can get 4 bases quite easily. So not a shocker here. So we are ready. We're going to get into game 2 of this series. It's going to be OyA versus kogeT. kogeT on the brink of elimination. In the top right, 1 game away from moving into the deciders match, it is OyA. And top left, 1 game away from being out of this BSL, it is kogeT. Now surprisingly, we haven't seen kogeT go for a gasless opener. Well, actually I take that back, because Blue Storm game he wanted to go 14cc. I think he may go for something like, oh, take that back, what's this? This is going to be an 8 racks or BBS?
And this is a forward gateway from OyA, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Well, we've seen 8 racks in the ASL. I saw Barracks use it, did not work. Saw Rush use it versus Bonnet in Foreign All-Stars versus Korea, did not work. I am really not a fan of 8 racks. If you're gonna go for some type of proxy barracks, it needs to be BBS, and that is what it's going to be. So kogeT's going to risk his life on a BBS versus OyA. Now OyA is not going to scout this, and that forward gate is going to backfire. And I think, oh, what is that? That is a Rax at the high ground. That is very unusual, but OyA is in big time trouble here. If he loses his Zealot, all of a sudden that gateway is going to easily get taken down. He's going to have no ramp to try and buy time at all. He can't even drill down the ramp either. So this seems like a direct counter to what OyA is doing.
Yeah, this game can end very quickly here as well. This is interesting because normally I think, okay, it's Polypoid, it's kogeT, we're going to see Rax expand, but he's completely throwing that out of the window, and he's going for BBS, and he's going to see this forward gateway. And I think if we had kogeT's camera, we would see him smiling here, smirking here a little bit.
Yeah, now he does need to be careful, of course, because it does take a while to build up Marines to critical mass, and he's going to regret building that barracks on the high ground, because no Terran does this. As soon as you see that, you know that there's another rack. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be a second rack based on what I've been seeing lately. However, as I've stated, 8 racks by itself is simply just not a good build versus Protoss. Now the Zealot moved out. I am so surprised he moved out. And
yeah, what is it?
Lose his gate.
Yeah, what's the Zealot actually going to accomplish if it goes fights the SCVs? Okay, there's a bunch of Marines at your base, and the bunker is already complete. Can the Marines get in? 1 Marine gets in, 2 Marines gets in, and there's no way for OyA to kill this bunker. So he's just going to try to pick off these Marines as they're coming in, and it's going to take a while for this gateway to actually go down. And he does have 2 Zealots on the map. We could actually end up in a scenario where this game is a draw.
Yeah,
watch out for that.
Base trade scenario in the main of OyA. He's got another gateway coming down. I think he did build a cybernetics and 2 Zealots. Oh no, he's building a forge. Okay, so you know there's not that much DPS with just 3 Marines. If he gets a cannon up, kogeT's econ is not the greatest. Oh, okay, but Zealots are attacking onto high ground, and I don't think some of those shots were registering. Probe gets a Marine kill. Oh my god, look at this control from OyA. He's going to knock down the majority of the Marines. He's buying time. There's the probe drill now. He gets on top of one of the Marines. Cannon is going to complete. Is OyA salvaging this game? Bunker gets canceled.
Okay, looks like all the Marines have gone down. All he needs to do now is make a pylon at this gateway because he's not going to have any more units. And here we go. kogeT still has production. That's the problem here. Like, one cannon is fine here. He's going to defend. But how can he get more units out on the map?
Yeah, but OyA needs to get a gateway up because cannon can defend a lot of Marines, of course, and it can defend the bottom side of the mineral line, but there's nothing to defend the top side, and there's nothing to defend the left side of the nexus either. And I do not see a gateway being built. Okay, there we go. At the top side, cannon is going to be built there, so actually this game is going to move into the mid game somehow. kogeT has 400 minerals. Might think about putting down a command center actually. And he's going to be at a super economic advantage, I think. But maybe not, because we see supplies are even, and we know that kogeT has, what, maybe 4 or 5 Marines? So for now, OyA potentially has a sizable worker lead.
Yeah, and these Marines don't have enough range, I think, to poke at that nexus with these cannons placed such as they are.
Yeah,
but here's the scary part. If there were an SCV here, he can make a bunker, and then the Marines would have enough range.
Yeah, but he would have to worry about the SCV bouncing into range of the cannon and dying. You can see that OyA is not too sure of the range of the cannon because this situation maybe happens 1 out of, what, like 5,000 games? Like, it's just, you never face this. This just doesn't happen. So what is interesting from OyA here is he's got range coming, and that pylon might get picked off before range completes, but Goon should come out and clear it at some point. But range is a bit, okay, now the Goon pops out, but range is a big upgrade for OyA obviously, because kogeT has nothing right now. He's just now started to mine gas. His command center's just now about to complete, and he has no bunker for defense back at his natural.
Yeah, 2 gateways, Citadel follow-up. Now this is interesting because kogeT's gonna full out defend for these Dragoons that are gonna come out. And okay, he is getting an academy, so this is important. There's a scouting barracks. I actually completely forgot about the fact that he could scout with the barracks now. And here we go, Goon's positioning, waiting for that range to kick in. And it's going to be interesting what the actual follow-up is from kogeT. I see a factory went down in the main.
Yeah, and I don't... Okay, there's an academy, so this is a good start for kogeT right now. He's going to get that comm set up, but I'm worried... Well, I don't think he'll scan the main, because what does he need to scan for? I mean, what can OyA really have on one base that he's worried about? I think he'll just hold on to the comm set. Now, OyA does have a probe in position. However, the fact that it's sitting there for so long already tells kogeT that this is not going to be a 2-base play. You see eBay instantly being built, and kogeT is in an amazing position. Now he sees the Nexus, but like I said, this is way too slow of a Nexus.
Yeah, and it's only 3 Dragoons, so I thought maybe if he got 5, that would actually be enough to be scary, and kogeT in that scenario would have to repair a ton. But with only 3 Dragoons and the tank is going to be about a minute away with the add-on currently adding now. And here's the barracks floating in. It's going to sacrifice itself, but no point in having 2 barracks, and he's going to get that full scout off.
Yeah, and like you said, if there were 5 goons here and then a DTs as a follow-up, he can send all the 5 goons on top of the turret and just 2-shot it and bust it down, and then kogeT's in real trouble. But the fact that there's only 3, it's going to take a long time for those goons to focus down that turret if he was to go for a move like that. Meanwhile, I mean, this is pretty much just perfect play from kogeT as a follow-up to the BBS. He's got his academy, he's got his armory, he's got tank with siege mode coming in. Meanwhile, OyA, I think, is doing pretty much what he should do after getting this all scouted. He's going to put down a 3rd Nexus at mid-right, and he's going to try and catch up that way in terms of supply.
Yeah, double expand to come back economically. Looks like a small supply block there from kogeT. And I wouldn't expect anything other than a 2-base 2-1 from kogeT here. And here we go. He's going to try to go for that
bust. He's just going to try and run by. He's just going to try and run by it. There's no turret in the main. Oh, he's going to pop the tank. Are you serious?
So one tank goes down. DT's going into the main. SCV's blocking. They're still in turret range. The DT's... Oh, one DT goes down to SCVs. And is there still 1 DT alive in the main? That was actually key. If he had 2 DTs in the main, this would be a completely different hold. But with just 1, I think with the amount of scan he's banked up, he'll be able to do this.
Yeah, and we got a runner in the main. DT running through the bottom side of the map, trying to avoid that scan. Comsat just finished at the natural, so I think he should have a second scan available. He needs to run, and is that tank gonna get it? Is he just... Oh my... Oh, he's got a third scan? How'd that happen?
Okay, so I want to point out a couple things. kogeT was supply blocked for a very long time there, so that second tank was about 20-30 seconds delayed, and that allowed that attack to do so much damage. And I think just with that, OyA's back in this game.
Yeah, OyA is definitely back in the game. I was not expecting that run by. I thought with the barracks over top of the turret, I was like, wow, that's genius. There's no way that OyA is going to be able to focus down. But I forgot that that just opens up a run by path. And OyA went for it, and he gets rewarded. Now behind this is a 6-gate follow-up. He's already
no
got
robo.
Yeah, no robo either. He doesn't need robo because he knows kogeT is in a defensive posture right now. Because he also scouted the main and saw it was only one factory, I'm kind of surprised that he ended up going for 6-gate. He could have put down another Nexus easily, for sure. He could have even put down 2 Nexuses potentially. We see that a third command center is going up for kogeT. This is so ballsy. Like, how is he ever going to take his third base when he has 2 tanks and only 2 factories behind it?
Yeah, this is reminding me of a game where they played each other, and kogeT died because he could never establish that third base. Every time he moved out, his army would get crushed.
Yeah, this is looking to be a similar fate here. We see that Starport is coming in, so he's going to be going into Fast 2-1. Now, usually when you rush your upgrades like this, you go into like 3 factories or 5 factories and then your command center. Like, this command center isn't going to help kogeT at all. There are 4 DTs there. Did you see that? That's a crazy amount of DPS if they actually are able to get onto the tanks. Like, those tanks will just instantly blow up. And I don't think kogeT... Yeah, there's the 5 factories, but the order of the factories in comparison to the command center are a bit off. He's not going to have as many units as he actually should have for quite a while. Meanwhile, we saw Stargate going down for OyA at his nat, but I didn't see Arbiter Tribunal anywhere. You assume it's going to be Arbiters, but I am pointing out that it is missing. So this could be some type of weird carrier switch. I know OyA likes to hide his carriers.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is he's going to bust kogeT when he moves out. He's setting up that concave. He will have some high ground. If he adds in a shuttle, this could be very, very difficult, near impossible for kogeT to move out.
Yeah, I'm curious what that Stargate is for. As I said, he does like to hide the carriers. Don't just see this and see Templar Tech and think, oh, this is 100% Arbiter. It doesn't have to be. Meanwhile, Vulture gets out somehow. There is Arbiter Tribunal. We were expecting it, but it wouldn't have surprised me to see the carrier. Meanwhile, Probe sneaks out. That Vulture, I think, should insta-die to the cannon. Oh, maybe not. But he does confirm the Arbiter Tribunal timing, so that means that he knows that this is 1:40 until Arbiter pops out. It means it's going to be 2:40 until Stasis hits, so around 15 minutes Stasis, and about 4 minutes from there for recall. So he has a lot of time to build up his army and also not be worried about recall. Meanwhile, more gateways coming down. He can forge his spinning, so he's trying to match his upgrades. That is 9 gates for OyA. He is really, really ramping up his macro.
Yeah, also taking a 4th base behind this. And again, we're looking at the army count for kogeT, because not only is he going to need it to attack, he's going to actually need it to take that 3rd base, which is still... the command center has been sitting there for about 3 minutes. I haven't been able to see that move at all. And there we go. It looks like he's setting up. He has what looks like to be 4, 7, 9 tanks.
Yep, he is moving into position. He has +1 weapon. It's not the greatest power spike versus Terran. Meanwhile, OyA's units, where are they? Like, there's just maybe a handful of goons and 1 DT. DT is annoying, but we need more DPS. OyA needs to start sending more units across the map. Another DT is coming in. This is annoying. Oh wow, a vessel actually came out. I didn't even notice that. So these DTs are going to be shut down. Now that's a lot of tanks, but it's still a 30 supply lead for OyA. Seems he's not going to try and bust this 3rd base. He's just going to wait for the Arbiter to come out before attempting that. He's going to give kogeT this 3rd base for now. Meanwhile, he's taking his 4th base at bottom middle. It is up and running. He's going to be taking a 5th base pretty soon. Now, unit comp. is this just pure Zealot? Like, there's only 8 goons. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, he only had about 11 Dragoons. He bled off a few to the tanks, and here we go.
God.
This is a bust. No shuttle. That's interesting. He's not going to drop on the tanks first, and he's just going to go in. Vessel giving vision, so kogeT will be prepared. He doesn't have a ton of mines.
Oh, no. But those Zealots got a full shot onto the mine. Oh my god, he just lost so many Zealots for free, and that was a gift given to kogeT. I don't think Zealots even killed a single tank in that back line. And now supplies plummet for OyA. That was a massive misstep. And even though he was up like 40 supply, you know, probably 20 of it was in those gateways. So it was actually a closer fight than you anticipate running in there as Protoss. So a big misstep there. And now kogeT's going to be feeling pretty good. That's probably a command center going up. He's going to be taking top middle. He's going to have 2-1 coming in pretty soon. This is an okay position for kogeT at this point.
Yeah, questionable not to have a shuttle there. The full tank shots went off on those clump Zealots at the front, which just died instantly. And here we go. Vultures moving out. There aren't that many Dragoons. These Vultures can get us around with some mines here. And looks like all the Dragoons are bugging out. And looks like one is managing to escape, but the Vultures will be able to clean them up. Arbiter finally out, like you said, 14 minutes. What's around the time when he would have that stasis ready?
Yep, stasis is available. Only one, though. Recall still not available just yet. He needs about 30 more seconds. Vulture's going to get into... Nope. Going to be denied by that probe. Meanwhile, more gateways going up at the 5th base. Tank count is getting scarily large for kogeT. +2 should be kicking in any moment now. You can see that kogeT knows the Arbiter timing, or recall timing, I mean. Turrets are going down. Turret or DTs at top middle, gonna deny that base. Also at mid left, gonna deny that base. But supplies are dangerously close for Protoss. It's 168 to 152, and there are the Stargates. So it is gonna be a carrier switch. However, if you're gonna carrier switch into heavy upgrade Terran, you must get that second cybernetics. You need to have armor. It's so critical versus +3. So I'm hoping to see a second cybernetics somewhere from OyA, but so far it looks like he's only getting weapon. Wonder how far along he is with the air upgrades.
Yeah, what's concerning me here is OyA doesn't have a bank here. If he hadn't thrown away those Zealots, he would have been maxed earlier and he would have started building up that bank, which you desperately need to get carriers. And again, 2-1 Terran against unupgraded air Protoss is not going to end well for the carriers. Interceptors are going to melt instantly.
Well, the one thing that's going for OyA right now is it doesn't seem that kogeT has scanned the carriers just yet. We only saw 4 Goliaths just now. Okay, now of course he scans it. So he's going to build up that carrier, or build up that Goliath count. My number is about 3 to 4 Goliaths per carrier. That's going to be critical mass to being able to efficiently deal with the carriers. So depending on how many carriers OyA actually builds, he's going to need to match that with a decently high Goliath count. Now, top middle is being taken. That's going to be a very exposed recall position. That's a pretty dangerous spot, but he's decided that that's the spot he wants to take. I don't know about this mine clearing with Zealots.
Probably needs a supply for carriers. And there we go.
And now he needs to clear out 1 probe to get 1 additional carrier. DT is going to sacrifice his life. More Zealots moving in. If you're kogeT here and seeing this guy bleed off Zealots like this, for me, that would trigger an attack because I know this guy is spending a lot of supply into the Stargates, which can't help him right now. So we may see an attack from kogeT in the next 30 seconds maybe, but also kogeT.
Oh, there's a recall. There's a recall coming.
Yeah, recall into... Well, that's a lot of turrets. I don't know if he's going to get in. Oh, this is suicide. Don't recall, man. He's going to blow up everything. Oh, no, it's disgusting. It's actually just disgusting. And OyA built more Stargates at bottom right. Now, I guess you could say, well, it freed up supply and he can build more carriers now. However, kogeT's going to go on a death march and probably push to victory as long as he has at least, I would say, 12 Goliaths.
Yeah, if the suiciding units didn't trigger an attack, and that failed recall definitely will. We should see kogeT moving out any second now. He does need to remake the turrets and add the mines because there's other arbiters out on the map, right? There's still 1 more.
Yeah, there is an
OyA
arbiter.
really needs to buy time here, though. He doesn't have anything right now to defend from this big Terran army.
Yeah, kogeT, I'm surprised he's not instantly pushing. There's going to be, well, 6 Stargates are blinking right now. The carrier count is only at 3, but it's going to be at 9 in the next 2 minutes or so. You have to factor in the build time for the carriers, then also, of course, the build time for the interceptors. I can't believe kogeT's not attacking right now. This feels like the one way you can let OyA get back into the game. I guess kogeT's decided that it's better to take his 5th and 6th base. He's even taking bottom left at the same time. It's gone unscouted. Now he's moving out, and this is an untouchable mech army. +3 is also going to be kicking in, I think, maybe about a minute and a half from now. Carriers show themselves. That's 5.
Yeah, and I think the problem is he doesn't actually have supply to make more Goliaths. I'm looking at his Goliath count. It's in the single digits, and this is 5 carriers. If you're talking about, okay, here we go. There's the mass round of Goliaths. He traded off some vultures to get some supply, and he's switching into those Goliaths. And we saw the carriers have +2 attack. Mech was on 2-1 last I saw. Could be 3-2 now.
Yeah, but look at those armor upgrades for Protoss. No armor upgrades for the carriers. +3 is an insane spike versus interceptors. You 4-shot interceptors instead of 6-shot. So this is going to be really hard for OyA to push through Goliath. And we know that the tank count is crazy for kogeT. He doesn't need to build any more tanks. He only needs to make sure he doesn't overbuild vultures. That's it. And just keep his Goliath count up. However, this is a ton of carriers. Actually, OyA is going to have 12 carriers. And if he, oh my God, he might even have 15 carriers. If he had an arbiter too, that makes this so much more scary for oh, that is a covert op. So we got lockdown coming in. But I actually am a bit worried that kogeT has too many tanks.
Yeah, this is going to be so many carriers. There is a point, though, where you end up making way too many carriers, and kogeT is passively playing this. There's no way for him to advance out on the map. You see, the interceptors do go down, but there's just so many carriers here.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to fight the Goliaths. He could go fight the turrets at the top side of the map. We know that there's not, well, I mean, there are a lot of turrets there, but turrets are not as good as Goliaths, and that might be his focus now. Well, instead, Goliaths are going to chase.
Yeah, you can see turrets don't get any upgrades, so they scale poorly into the late game, and they're just getting picked off here. But it does buy time for the Goliaths to get here, although it's a little bit awkward with the small ramp.
Well, you can see turrets are not as bad as you actually expect them to be when you have, 10 or 12 built in that position. They did end up shredding those interceptors. Bottom left still has not gone scouted, and I think OyA missed an opportunity to draw all the units to top middle and then instantly counterattack mid left, because that is an exposed base with no defense at all. Meanwhile, carrier count is getting insane at this point. What is this? 12 carriers. As I mentioned, though, they are lacking armor. They need to have armor. That's what it is critical versus +3. Again, OyA still doesn't know about mid left. Observer is in the center of the map. He needs to send it to the left side. But where do you attack as OyA? I mean, you've got a million carriers, but there's Goliaths everywhere.
Yeah, I think he should dedicate his ground army to do some kind of small counterattacks to where he would expect bases to be. There should be mines on the way to those bases, but we see bottom left has nothing. Just a handful of zealots can clean that up while kogeT is occupied with the carriers. And now we see with this many carriers, no amount of turrets can defend. Then they just instantly pop. And that's triggering kogeT to just go for the death march. He's not gonna defend any longer. He does have mid right and bottom, mid left and bottom left for economy. He doesn't need this basics right now. He's just gonna go for the kill.
Yeah, well, OyA still only has +2 on his carriers. He sniped the command center at top middle, and he might be feeling like, okay, this guy's only on probably like 1.5 base mining with that mineral only at mid left, and he might be feeling like he's in a better position than he actually is, because we know bottom left is still running. Oh no, this might be suicide for OyA. He doesn't know that the Goliaths are there. Luckily, he's on high ground, so he can back off for now, and kogeT was unaware that the carriers were there. Look at the banks for both of the players. 3K, 1.5K for kogeT, but 7K, 3K for OyA. Again, carriers very exposed. Looks like kogeT will pop that carrier, but there's still going to be 12 left over. I would like to see some arbiters come out, because arbiters with carriers and stasis, oh man, are they strong.
Okay, here we do finally see that counterattack. Trying to hit kogeT's economy, because kogeT has insane levels of production right now with the amount of factories he's on and the amount of bases he's mining from. And here we go. Looks like, nope, not going to be able to deny space, but it does move the ground army away. Really what kogeT has to do is split his tanks and vultures from his Goliath so he can deal with these 2 attacks without using his entire army.
Well, we saw that kogeT had the Covert Ops add-on, so he's going to go into Ghost, but Ghosts take a long time to get the energy, and he only has 2 Ghosts. He needs to have, well, I don't know. Actually, it's very hard to lock down carriers, especially when the Protoss player is exclusively focusing their attention on it. You can see that Goliaths, when they are separated from the rest of the army, just ridiculously easy to pick off. Ghost isn't moving out. Oh no, that's going to be a dead carrier at bottom right. And kogeT is on the death march to wipe out all these bases. Remember, because OyA mined the top right side and mid right side of the map for so long, those bases are mined out. If kogeT kills bottom right, there's going to be no more income coming in for OyA. Of course, he has a 10k bank almost, but that is something to think about.
Yeah, it's critical here that kogeT can trade his army off like this.
DT,
and it looks like we have DTs, but instant scan from kogeT. He is keeping tabs on his army at all times. He's dealing with these carriers. He's pushing them back, actually. Vessel is exposed. If OyA just clicks at it, it'll die. And it looks like, I mean, this is always difficult for Terran because just DTs can be made, and if you're not looking, your army dies. If you're not looking at your Goliaths while they're fighting carriers, that army will die. Again, 3-3 mech versus only weapons on these carriers. It's gonna make these fights look a little bit better for kogeT. But oh, we have some tanks undefended here.
Yeah, but actually killing the tanks, I mean, I wouldn't even bother killing the tanks because all he needs to worry about is his Goliaths. Just let this guy have all these tanks. That's dead supply to him for hitting air. For now, well, I think OyA's now gotten himself into a horrible position. He can't move into the center of the map anymore. Well, maybe he can. It doesn't look like that's enough Goliath to actually fight these 12 carriers.
Yeah, and he's using a ground army in combination with this. Look, that's so many zealots coming from the backside.
Is OyA gonna do it? kogeT's supply is now falling deep down to just 150 supply. He now doesn't even have that big of a bank, and those ghosts that moved across the map didn't get off a single lockdown. Actually, they're retreating for now. They have almost 3 lockdowns available between the two, but OyA's got his eyes set on bottom left, and there is not that mass turret flood that we saw at top middle. It's going to be really hard to defend this.
Where are the ghosts? Where are the ghosts? Looks like they're hiding behind the turrets there. He can probably get 3 carriers, but that's so many carriers, and there's not a ton of Goliaths here. He lost most of the Goliaths in that earlier fight.
Yeah, and carriers may be coming into range of the ghosts. The ghosts, I'm not sure if they've been spotted just yet. Remember, carriers have longer range than the ghost, so he can focus down that ghost if he sees it. I'm surprised there's no cloak. Oh, there's 2 lockdowns. He gets 2 of the carriers, but 3 lockdowns. But still, there's just still so many carriers left over. There's no Goliaths.
OyA doing a really good job picking off all the Goliaths, and only turrets in. Okay, there we have some Goliaths coming to reinforce. They are targeting down that lockdown carrier. We're gonna get those 2, and I mean, we get 2, but there's still what, 9 left over.
Yeah, there's so many carriers left over. OyA needs to start rebuilding his bases, though. I see the mineral onlys going up. He needs to start taking bottom middle. If the game was to somehow stabilize, look at those bases. They're almost mined out. I know he has that 6k bank. kogeT has no money. Look at that, 60 minerals. He has all those SCVs at his mineral only that are not mining. He needs to transfer them down to bottom left. Carriers are ransacking bottom left. This command center is dead. And kogeT is going to be put down on 2 bases, but he's not effectively mining bottom left. And OyA is on the brink of eliminating kogeT.
It looks like another carrier does go down, but all the Goliaths get cleaned up, and there's no ghosts. Okay, there are the ghosts coming back. Do they have energy? Looks like he's not coordinating well enough. The ghosts arrive after the Goliaths die. They don't have enough energy, and looks like it's just falling apart for kogeT here. He's reinforcing, but look how far his army is.
Yeah, I think it's done. Like, a lot of Goliaths are coming down to the bottom side to save the game, but the command center's already fallen. This other command center might end up falling too. Meanwhile, tanks are going to save top middle. But OyA GIC, now he's got his mineral only up and running again. Like I said, he needs to take the bottom middle base, but he's just got an insane carrier count. Oh, now he's going into ground army with Arbiter. That's what I've been waiting for. Stasis will be a game changer. Oh, he hits like 5 Goliaths right there.
Yeah, and with the Dragoons as well, like this is OyA just has the better army composition with this amount of carriers. It's just hard for Terran. Look how many Dragoons is this, and now all these Goliaths are going to be useless against this army. Like he's just so cost efficient with his army.
Yeah, he's got 5 Goliaths just sitting there that he didn't even know he had. Now the goons are just going to wail down on these almost pure Goliath army that kogeT has. Arbiter is there, needs to be careful. That's a good stasis, hitting a lot of Goliaths in the back. And this is more than likely going to end the game, and it does. kogeT taps out, and it's going to be OyA moving on to face Gypsy in the Deciders match. So what you were talking about, how OyA just crushes through kogeT, well, he's continued that trend because he wins 2-0 today.
Yeah, that was also a very nice execution. I think the only mistake was that weird attack with the pure Zealot. But other than that, what a game. I mean, you got to remember that started off with BBS against Forward Gate.
Yeah, I don't know how OyA salvaged that game. You see BBS versus Forward Gate, you're like, all right, well, how are you going to stop this? I just have so many Marines. I'm going to not only kill your Zealot, but also going to kill your Gate. I don't know how OyA held that. That was really, really good crisis management. I remember kogeT followed up with the command center after that. Like, his econ was nuts. So OyA, somehow, some way, just completely outplayed kogeT that game. It did get dicey when I kept looking at the carriers and seeing no armor. I'm like, come on, man, we got to get armor. But he does manage to eke out the victory. And this is going to set up an OyA versus Gypsy final match of the day. But before we get into that game, of course, we're going to go into a quick break, and then we'll figure out who's going to be the second winner from Group B. Has 10 race, so he's going to be decimating this immutable when it comes in. Oh, wow, these mutas are so far forward with no vision at all. Meanwhile, it does deny the turret. Overlord does now come in, and this is going to give October Zerg the vision he needs. That's great muta control, but it's also great Wraith control. Now Marines are still not in the bunker, but look at how fast those Mutalisks end up dying. Goodbye. And that's going to be a GG any moment now.
Yeah, that's it. Here. I mean, Terran is just so far ahead. But
this is about the best trade that mutas are going to get. He catches the Wraith, but look at the control from the Wraith. The Wraiths are firing, and the mutas are not firing.
Yeah, well, looks like, I mean, even with that control.
Serious? I think he's gonna kill all these mutas.
Oh
my
god,
god!
Are so off. Oh, but he is gonna. He's got Evo chambers, got nice saturation everywhere. All of this off of the first. He didn't really overmake Mutalisks, didn't overmake Lurkers, but this Contain wasn't actually in position, and he's gonna lose all the Lurkers, and all of a sudden, oh, I mean, he does trade those Lurkers for the double vessel, so that's worth it in the end. 100% it's worth for Siki. But honestly, I feel like this game, it should have just ended with this Contain.
Yeah,
looking at the supplies, it's not looking good for him.
Well, he's busting out right now. Still 1-1 for the Zerg. Meanwhile, Terran, I think, is at 2-1. +3 carapace is kicked in for the Ultras. Ling and Ultras are clearing up this tiny bio ball. Remember, despite double expanding, you know, you have to. That means that you're lacking units in that critical phase, obviously. Oh, he's going for a drop at bottom middle, but it looks like there's only one Marine left over, so that's not a big threat. Meanwhile, Darkswarm gets on top of the bunkers.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. There's the thing is, Terran lost their ball, lost the vessel cloud. These drops aren't really doing anything. Siki just completely handling Ultra this game, and you know, honestly, I just think it comes down to Ultra's build choice. Powerbomb, just not the best map to go 2 racks on, and GG, Siki is going to advance in first place.
back, guys. We're about to get into the final match of the day. It's going to be OyA versus Gypsy. OyA looking really good versus Terran versus kogeT. And we're going to see if that result is going to prove true also versus Gypsy. Can OyA move on into the round of 8? He had really good crisis management on Polypoid, looking really, really good. He does need to be careful if he goes carriers again, getting those very slow armor upgrades. But we'll see if Gypsy can take him down. OyA, as we've seen in previous BSLs, has done very, very well. And it's pretty much his destiny to make it into the finals. Now, what are your thoughts on OyA versus Gypsy here? Does Gypsy have a better chance than kogeT, or is he pretty much going to be relegated to the same fate where OyA is just going to dominate him?
I think he's going to have a better chance than kogeT. I think it's a stylistic thing more than strength between the players, like who's better than who. I think kogeT just struggles against OyA more than any other Protoss he goes up against. And
yeah, like, go ahead.
Yeah, because kogeT, I've seen him play TVP against Dragon, against Bonif, and he does really well against those two players. But against OyA, it's just a completely different style, and things don't go his way for whatever reason when he goes up against OyA.
Yeah, if we look at the Polypoid game with the fast upgrades, this is what Gypsy plays. Like, it's not going to be any different. I don't expect to see Gypsy do some type of crazy 5-fact or anything like that. It's going to be the same thing. So the fact that OyA had good success versus kogeT, I think OyA is going to have similar success versus Gypsy. However, Gypsy is very, very good versus Protoss. And if you watch his stream, he even has good focus fire during the middle of the fights. I don't watch kogeT that often, so I don't know what he prioritizes in the middle of the fights, but I do know 100% that Gypsy really does pay attention to the fight, and he has crazy multitask. He's like he's macroing behind it at the same time. So this should be a good series. Again, we're looking at the records. Gypsy has no games, but we did see in round of 24 he took down GhostDark. He did play just the standard heavy upgrade style, and GhostDark had really no answer to it. Sure, GhostDark took a game on Polypoid, but GhostDark had a massive advantage in that game. Meanwhile, statistics for OyA, you can see BSL 8, 22nd or top 24. Meanwhile, BSL 9, 8th place, 4th place in season 10, then 3rd in season 11. So he's looking to make it to the finals this time, but I think Gypsy might be a bit of a roadblock for him. I did see Gypsy versus OyA like a couple months ago, and I would say that it kind of slightly went in favor of Gypsy, maybe like 3-2. This should be a very close series in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah, so we are just waiting for the players to set up. Remember, guys, first match is going to be on Blindside. This is not a map that, well, I'm going to assume both OyA and Gypsy have played that often, but at least OyA knows about all the shenanigans, and because we got a look at Gypsy's cam during the middle of the game, we know that Gypsy wasn't watching the games. So we might see OyA pull out another proxy gate build. I would love to see that, actually. And I'd be curious to see what Gypsy's response is going to be. Now, yesterday with Gypsy on the cast, we were talking about the rush distances, how far away it is, and we were kind of in agreement that 14 command center or gasless could be a very, very strong build. So we may see that from Gypsy here. But players are ready. Let's get into the final series of the day. It's going to be Gypsy versus OyA for our deciders match. So in the top middle, in the red, it is Gypsy, and in the bottom middle, coming off of two nice solid victories versus kogeT, it is OyA. Now, so far, we don't see the probe being sent out. I remember that it went out at around 6 supply. I guess that means we're not going to see any proxy shenanigans. Meanwhile, Gypsy has not sent out the fast SCV, so we're not going to see something like BVS. I know you haven't played this map, but initial thoughts on this map. Does anything come to mind, like seeing the open main, seeing the rush distances?
I instantly think, as Protoss, why not go 12 Knights? Because two-player map with a long rush distance like this, this definitely looks like a 12 next map.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Now, I know Gypsy loves to go for 12 gas and go for a Marine Vulture pull if he thinks you're going to go for 12 Nexus. We were even talking about it yesterday, how I mentioned gasless, and he was like, well, if you think they're going to go 12 Nexus, you know, the better opener is actually going to be just standard factory. So my opinion is it's either going to be 12 gas or it's going to be 14 CC from him. It's not going to be gasless. That's kind of like an in-between thing. Now there's the Rex, so more than likely this is going to be another just gas follow-up. Meanwhile, OyA has not opted into that 12 Nexus. He's just going to be playing pretty standard.
And the next thing that I'm going to look at is what OyA's scout timing is, or does he even scout at all? He could just wait for that Dragoon and use that as a scout and just maximize his economy that way.
Yeah, you can see that Gypsy maybe looked at the VOD and he is scouting his third base for potential proxy. This time around, not going to find it because OyA is just playing normal.
And there we have that 12 gas, like he said, and OyA also playing standard Cybernetics core with 3 on gas, and looks like he's going to scout after core, so a very delayed scout, but still going to be able to get into the base of Gypsy, and looks like, is he going to hide that second pylon maybe? Nope, looks like he just makes it right next to his Nexus.
So not going to be any funny business going on. Now, let me ask you this. We have the probe going out, and we know that 21 Nexus is a common build for Protoss. Is there something that you see as Protoss that tells you, okay, I'm not going to 21 Nexus, or I am going to 21 Nexus? Like, is there a deciding factor?
No. Basically, you're going to get to their base, and you're going to see, is it gasless or Rax expand, and then that'll determine the amount of Dragoons you make. And if it's Rax expand without a gas, then you stop at a specific number of Dragoons, depending on if you go for 21 or 28 Nexus. But it looks like he didn't see anything. I don't know if it actually got far up enough to see if there was a command center.
Well, look at this. Command center was not placed, so he didn't think that this was a gasless expand. We see that this was a hybrid opener from Gypsy. He wanted to have the option to go for the pressure build with the factory, so he ended up mining the gas, but didn't build the factory just yet. So now he's going to be putting it down in about a couple seconds from now. And this is going to throw OyA for a loop because he was really expecting to see a factory, and now he's not going to punish this very quick expansion from Gypsy at all. Look, the probe is sitting outside the base, but not going for another scout.
Yeah, it looks like this was a 23 Nexus, very similar to 21 Nexus. But you have a slightly better economy and you don't get that extra second gateway right after a Nexus. And because this map has such long rush distances, you don't need that second gateway immediately to defend against any kind of timing.
So now in a couple seconds, the Dragoon is going to get in here. He is going to see the bunker. He's going to poke in more than likely to see the command center timing. Oh no, he's just going to sit here. A lot of times the Protoss players will poke in to gauge, okay, did this guy actually build a command center or not? But he's content thinking that Gypsy just did build a command center. You know, for all we know, there could have been a second factory. But that also means he doesn't confirm that this command center is way faster than usual. So a bit of a misstep there from OyA to not poke in. We see that Gypsy is going for a second factory, so he is going to put on some pressure. And he does move out. Now this is a bit of a tell, because why are you pushing this goon back? Now look at that. He built a Marine and then canceled it. So he's making it look like this is a push. Well, now I'm kind of confused because I see a third factory going down in the Rax resume production.
No, it's an eBay, but yeah,
eBay.
This is a big tell. If you're doing this kind of timing attack, you want to hide this barracks, you want to float it back. Looks like another canceled Marine. So maybe he doesn't want to give away what his strategy is here, because having that barracks producing with 3 Marines already is a big tell you're going for a timing attack.
Yeah, so I like the building of the Marine and then canceling it, but it needed to not be shown that it didn't complete. And also I would have liked it more if he was actually building an armory behind us and not going for this 2-fact. Now we see that the support bay is coming in. Did OyA really only build 2 goons? He is very low on the goon count. Yeah, he has 4 goons.
And this is where I'm looking at this and I'm thinking if Gypsy had actually gone for a timing, the fact that he went 1 gate Robo into Reaver after expanding, this is very weak to this specific type of timing where you go for the 3 tank timing with a bunch of Marines. But it looks like Gypsy's not going to go for that. I guess he didn't want to do that scouted. Maybe that's why he opted not to go for it.
Oh, actually, this is going to be Vultures as a follow-up. I am surprised at this. I really did think it was going to be the 3 tank push, like you were saying. But because that Reaver is coming out so soon, and because of the rush distances, I didn't really think that this, or a 3 tank push, would have been the optimal opener. Now, tank is barely out of range, and he's not going to be able to siege. Look at that Marine micro to try and make sure that that bunker doesn't fall, because he didn't have enough SCVs repairing. Meanwhile, that's an armory going down at his natural. But the support or the Reaver should be coming out pretty soon, and Gypsy only has 1 tank.
There's 1 tank and 1 turret at the front, no other anti-air. That should be the Reaver with 2 Zealots heading towards Gypsy's base pretty soon. This is looking scary. It looks like it's going to be 1 Reaver, 1 Dragoon, and it's only Vultures if Gypsy can somehow get around these Dragoons, but it looks like OyA will just easily block that off with wall.
Oh, he is out on the map, and he has run by all the goons. Now, back in the main of OyA, how many goons does he have? No, he doesn't have any. He just has a single Zealot. If goons can pop out, he'll be able to clog up that entrance, but Vultures are scrambling to get across the map. Meanwhile, Reaver, don't know where it's actually heading. OyA has it. Oh, it's just going to clog up the entrance. So that at least buys time for Gypsy to get up turrets and defend versus this incoming Reaver.
Yeah, that looks scary there for Gypsy, but he's using the Vultures aggressively like this, and it's putting OyA in a difficult spot. He can't go right away with the Reaver. It looks like now that he has more Dragoons and an Observer, he can use the shuttle aggressively, but it's given away key information. The fact that there's a Reaver already, and Gypsy will be able to add tanks and turrets now in his main.
Yeah, he's got a lot of turrets. Oh, I thought that was a turret. He's got 1 turret at the left side, maybe a couple at the bottom side. And behind this, he is building a command center for himself too. He's ramping up his tank production. Those goons are stuck in the center of the map, not wanting to move and explode on a bunch of mines. You can see that the supplies are pretty close, 68 to 84 now. Tanks and Goliaths now moving into position, but that's a speed shuttle, but he's running into a turret, and Goliaths are within range. He almost gets it. He does get it, and he's going to get the Reaver before any of the tanks even fall.
Oh, looks like
gosh.
1 tank. Not even 1 tank going down. That one stays in the very low red. Gypsy will be able to repair all this. OyA does have a 3rd base behind this. And I think that's why Gypsy made that command center. He realizes OyA is not going to have a ton of units. And with killing that shuttle so quickly, that was a heavy investment to get nothing done. 1 Dragoon, Reaver, and shuttle with speed go down. That's more than a Nexus worth of resources right there.
Yeah, and we see that OyA, just like last game, he's putting down a lot of gates. He's got only a Citadel. There's no Temple Archive, so he's not teching very fast. So again, this is going to be another bust. But Gypsy already has mines, he already has speed, and he scanned it. So he puts down 5 factories instantly. He's probably going to go into Starport, maybe just 1 armory and get +2. He's going to be in a fantastic position. OyA, after being scanned, oh, he's going to lose his Observer also. This is devastating for OyA.
Yeah, Gypsy's in a very comfortable spot, even getting a handful of probes here. Like you can see, OyA, he's not gonna have anything in his favor other than the fact that Gypsy maybe his upgrades are a little bit later than normal when he went for that 2 fact. But look at this 3rd. He's gonna float it right over. Doesn't have anything to contest this base. And OyA, what can he really do here? Like this is kind of an awkward spot for Protoss. You don't really have really fast tech. You don't have a great economy in comparison to Terran.
Yeah, and you can see that Gypsy just scanned the gateways again, and I'll tell you from my experience playing Terran, if I scan that and I already see I have 5 factories and I have my +1 done and I have science facility coming up and I have my 3rd base, honestly, I feel like I can't lose. Like, that's just the mindset that I have as a Terran. Like, I feel like I'm going to hit 2-1. You're going to have no Templars. You're going to have no Stargate. You're going to have no Arbiter timing. There's just no world where Protoss wins unless I die to a bus. So I'm clogging up all of the center of the map with depots, turrets, everywhere, just making sure I don't die. And I feel like I'm just at a massive advantage. We see OyA taking a 4th base. We saw Templar Archive and Stargate being built at the natural. So again, it's going to be Arbiter play. But as I mentioned before, this is going to be extremely late Arbiters. Like, Terran's going to hit 2-1 around the 14-minute mark. And
Well,
probably
that's
just
+1.
a move. Yeah, that's
That's
+1 on
+1.
cybernetics.
Okay, so Gypsy, like you said, is way ahead, and he did clog up. He made a bunch of depots and turrets everywhere. He knows the only way OyA can get in is with some kind of harass or some kind of bust. And the key is, okay, he sees both the Tribuno and the cybernetics core spinning. The key, I think, that allows OyA to come back is that he does have speed shuttle, so he can get something done with storm drops if that eventually becomes an option. But really, Gypsy's in a comfortable spot. He has a dropship. I saw he loaded up 1 tank and what looked like to be 2 vultures.
Yeah, drop is going across the map. Meanwhile, shuttle is going across the map also. It is going to be intercepted by mines. Don't know if Gypsy saw that or not. But there were Reavers in that shuttle. I don't know how effective that's actually going to be at this point in the game because Gypsy built multiple turrets in his base. I think that was a double armory in the natural for Gypsy, so it's not just going to be +2. Meanwhile, dropship is gonna not be intercepted in time. Oh, is it? I can't believe that. How did that goon get that last shot on that dropship?
Oh man, just barely manages to get that. And looks like this turret ring. It will kill a shuttle or at least not allow it to escape, but it's going to be very hard for OyA to get anything done.
Yeah, well, luckily that's not a very expensive drop for Terran. You know, it's just dropship and maybe 4 vultures. Now there's the Stargate follow-up. This is just what OyA does, is he always hides the Stargates, and he's going to be going for a 5th base even. But as I stated before, Gypsy's 2-1 is going to be coming in around the 14-minute mark, and he's going to have a maxed out army, and there's going to be no AoE for OyA here. He might have 1 stasis, that's it. Of course he's got the Reavers, but Reavers are hard to control at this point in the game. So this may be an unstoppable army when Gypsy actually starts moving out. This is one of the weird parts of this map, is you can see all the lack of vision in the center of the map. Oh, another mine connection.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for OyA to deal with this with just his ground army and maybe a couple of Reavers. If he had Storm, this would be different, but I think Gypsy, once he hits his 2-1, he's just going to move out, and he's going to hit way before these carriers come into play.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm expecting. We can see that supplies are, again, dangerously even. 150 supply for both players. You know that there's about 10 supply in that shuttle because I think it's double Reaver. Meanwhile, first Arbiter is out, second one in production. 2-1's going to be kicking in any moment now, and Gypsy's going to start moving across the map. He's got about probably 8 factories at this point. I noticed he was upgrading EMP, so he may have vessel industry for that too. Reaver did not take any mine damage right there. Didn't get any. Oh, is he going to lose the shuttle? Okay, he's not going to lose the shuttle, but he loses one of the Reavers. Another misstep there from OyA, losing a very expensive unit. Oh,
yeah, and
mines. Oh my god, this map.
Yeah, OyA definitely should probably invest in that observer speed upgrade. It would have saved him several units. And here we go. +1 armor just finished, so +2 will be a few seconds behind that. And Gypsy ahead in supply, basically even. We have 1 arbiter that's going to have 1 stasis, like you said. Second one not going to have anything. And, I mean, here we go. Here comes Gypsy.
Yep, here comes that 14-minute attack that I was talking about. Now, as I mentioned before, there is a lot of weird ramps like that right there, so Gypsy does need to be careful. Yesterday we saw Dragon engage onto Terran, but Terran just had way too many tanks in the stasis. Oh my god, he loses his Reaver again! Oh, well, there's another shuttle, and that's gonna get almost taken down. He's gotta be so careful with these shuttles. We don't know what's in it. Oh, he got EMP'd!
Oh man, and that arbiter has +1 attack, so that's a big tell. There's going to be a carrier switch. And there we go. There's the first 2 carriers, but 2 carriers are not going to be able to do anything. And here we go. Gypsy slowly moving across the map, maybe a little bit too slow. He's taking a 4th. This is going to be key because his main will soon be mined out. There's another arbiter, but none have EMP. None have stasis after getting EMP.
Yeah. Now, right now there's only 3 Goliaths out, so Gypsy doesn't know about the carrier switch just yet. If OyA can get up to 4 carriers, all of a sudden, Terran army without any Goliaths will just lose so many units for free. So for now, OyA's doing a good job to buy time. He's got his 5th base up at bottom right. You can see Gypsy is building or putting down a lot of mines on the bottom and mid right side of the map. He wants to make sure he doesn't get backstabbed. He is now moving quickly to that left side of the map, trying to take down these bases. These pros might actually be able to get transferred. Nope, they get intercepted right before they are able to get into a safe spot. Meanwhile, OyA is counterattacking. He's trying to make it crazy so that Gypsy, or so that he can get up to that crazy carrier count. Meanwhile, an engagement is happening. Remember, there's no stasis.
Yeah, Gypsy getting caught off guard. His units got a little bit clumped up there, trying to come back into the position. And even though Gypsy does win this fight, it's just buying OyA more time. And here we go. First 2 carriers revealed. Only 1 Goliath. Gypsy probably spamming his factories, canceling his vultures, getting a ton of Goliaths up. And here we go.
Yep.
Tanks getting picked off one by one.
Yep, this caught Gypsy completely off guard. He was not expecting to see carriers. He's now forced to engage despite the carriers wailing on these tanks. Well, for some reason, OyA's backing off. Of course, we know there's no Goliaths here, but he doesn't know that. And the fact that the vessels are just sitting there, you'd be kind of confused, like, okay, well, you're just going to give me these for free, or what are you doing? Meanwhile, we didn't even notice that Gypsy's killing bases on the other side of the map. He's already wiped out that 4th base. 3rd base is getting ransacked. There's a lot of probes there, too. This base is already mined out, though, so as long as he transfers the probes, this isn't the greatest attack from Gypsy. Look at the supply, though. It's still 150 to 150.
Yeah, that was about 4 tanks, but he did kill that 4th base. Luckily for OyA, he did take that bottom right, and Gypsy only scanning it now. It's gonna be... Oh, okay. Gypsy did manage to save most of his tanks, and with a reinforcement of Dragoons, he will be able... Goliaths, he will be able to contest those carriers. It's 4 now, though.
But what is scary is that even though the Arbors didn't have stasis for the attack initially, the Arbiters should have regened enough energy for stasis now, and there's no more vessels. Both of them got picked off by the carriers, but the Goliath count is starting to get pretty big. We see Gypsy is not only taking top left, he's also taking mid right. That's going to put him on 6 bases with 6 gas, and once Terran gets to that point, they're almost unstoppable. We see +2 armor has kicked in for Terran. That means +3 weapon is going to be kicking in any moment now. Carriers do deny mid-right for now, but as you mentioned, only 4 carriers, also only +1 weapon, getting flashbacks to the kogeT game.
Yeah, but Gypsy is in a much better spot than kogeT was in that game. We are having Gypsy take a bunch of bases out on the map, and this is what you do against carriers. You really want to expand everywhere. Carriers can't be at 2 places at once, and here we go. The carriers moving out towards the middle of the map again, trying to find a good angle to engage from. Looks like the Arbiter. Oh, Arbiter gets a massive stasis off, but dies.
Look how many tanks there are. Holy moly, that is so many tanks on the high ground. Carriers are in a pretty good position to pick off these tanks on the bottom side, but goons are dying left and right. But that doesn't look like that many Goliaths left over. Maybe it is just barely enough, maybe 8 versus 4 carriers. When the carriers are this low upgraded with just +2 weapon versus +3, 8 Goliaths can engage into this low carrier count, maybe. Well, never mind, it is still 5.
Okay, the problem there for OyA is he bled off his entire ground army. He was overly ambitious with those Dragoons moving into that tank line, and now he's dealing with only carriers. If this were carriers with Dragoons, OyA would have a lot more options here. But as you can see, the carriers, now they're going to get flanked by those Stasis Goliaths, and he has to run away. He's going to lose 1, maybe. No, it looks like he's just able to use that high ground to escape.
This is 7 carriers now, but look at the supply. It's still 160 for Gypsy, 100 for OyA. He's got his 4th base up. The tank is going to confirm that the 4th base is up on the left side, and he's going to start moving in that direction. Now, that was a lot of SCVs in the main of Gypsy. I don't know if he's just missent them or what, but look at this killer position he has on the left side of the map. There's no way carriers are going to stop this. There's just way too many Goliaths. He needs to spam a lot of turrets though, if he wants to save it.
Yeah, killing all those probes that were transferred to bottom right, and then killing the 4th base. I think Gypsy injured the economy of OyA enough that you can see he's just very low on interceptors. And again, these upgrades, 3-2 against, I think it should be +2 weapons now, but no armor on these interceptors, and they're quickly going down.
Yeah, you can see just how ineffective. Well, actually, the carriers are doing a pretty good job. There's 7. They're whittling down the Goliath count, but that's simply because Goliaths have never been in critical mass in this game, and kind of Gypsy is throwing away a bit of a supply, but it's okay because he's killing bases at the same time. Meanwhile, carriers are going to find this top base, and that is maybe going to be taken out. How many carriers is that? Maybe 9 right now? That's a scary amount.
And 6 o'clock is going to be safe, but a ton of probes went down, and that's what Gypsy's doing. He's keeping OyA's economy low, but these are awkward engagements for him. Oh, bunch of high Templars at this base.
Oh, he's got a siege though. He's got a siege and wipe them out. Don't let the storm catch you. And OyA notices in time, and he blankets these tanks. They are going to fall, the majority of them, but there is still going to be one alive. Meanwhile, Vulture's coming in, and Goliaths have now caught all of the carriers. They are kind of stuck. Well, maybe not. I guess they are just going to fly around and kill everything. But OyA is coming back, sort of. It's 120 now to 160. He does have that 4th base up. He needs to take another base, though.
Yeah, he can't really supplement his carrier army. He can't make interceptors and ground army at the same time. He maybe has 20 probes mining right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of mineral income, but you can see how well these carriers are trading again versus... Oh, what?
What?
What did he just do? Well, the only thing that comes to mind is the Hydra GG moment in StarCraft 2. I forget what Zerg player he was going up against, or was it a Terran player? Maybe Gypsy lost his command center at top left? Maybe he mined out all his bases? Like, if you looked at his resources at the end, he only had 400 resources. I don't know what just happened. He went down to 130 supply. It was 130 to 120.
OyA maybe had 10 probes at 6 o'clock, and then he had this new base, but combined, he was mining minerals with less than 20 probes. Even if Gypsy had just 1 base, he had way better upgrades. He had economy. I didn't see that command center go down. The only one that went down was the very top one.
I'm rewatching the stream right now. I'm looking at his main, Nat, 3rd base. They're all mined out.
He had the mineral only, right?
Yeah, because I haven't played Blindside, I don't know if the mineral only right below his base is like a base that only has 1,000 minerals each, and maybe that's also mined out. I don't think it is, though. But maybe he felt like OyA just had critical mass carriers and he couldn't keep up. I was noticing that consistently the Goliath count was too low, and he never actually killed any of the carriers. He wasn't even killing interceptors that quickly, too. I'm trying to rewatch this game and see, okay, does he kill top left? We're at the point where he's engaging on top left right now. I think he probably killed top left. So that knocks Gypsy down to 1 base mining right now, because he's just now setting up that base that we saw. I don't know. I think that was a preemptive GG. Also, Gypsy didn't retake mid-right. That's also something that didn't happen. So I guess OyA was in a better position than we anticipated, but I think that was still just very fast GG from Gypsy. But, you know, I guess he's just going to be down 0-1.
Yeah. I mean, what did OyA have at the very end of the game? He had 9 carriers and 3 high Templars. He didn't have enough resources to make any units. All he was doing was making interceptors. He couldn't even afford probes. He had no resources, no income. I mean, Gypsy, he should have sensed that something was weak in OyA's position, because he didn't see any ground army after that big attack that failed. And he didn't even need tanks. So if he had just kept making Dragoons, the handful of tanks he had left would have been enough. And his position wasn't as bad. I think he was in a mindset where he saw the number of carriers and his ground army not being able to contest him, that he thought he was way worse off than he was.
Yeah, I just got to see the end of the game. Supplies did shoot down to about 140 for Gypsy, 130 for OyA, and OyA literally had 7 minerals. That's what he had at the end. He didn't have any money. Oh my gosh. Well, I think Gypsy we noticed Gypsy went into the replay, and I'm sure now that he's loaded it up, he realizes that probably he was in an okay position. Maybe not, though. We of course can't see everything that he sees. So OyA G, he's now 1 game away, but even though he's 1 game away, this easily could have been 1-0 for Gypsy in his favor, I think. Maybe not, though. But either way, this is setting up to be a good matchup because both of these players were slugging it out, taking out bases left and right, and Gypsy obviously has a fighting chance versus OyA G here. Now, I'm wondering what maps he's going to take. We've been talking about how Polypoid and Shakuris are good maps. I think Shakuris is most likely going to be the pick here.
Right. Polypoid also good. We did see him pick that. Oh, man.
Yeah, so we are just waiting right now. Honestly, I don't really know what to say because I've never had this happen where it looks... It's not like there was a clear winner, but it looked like Gypsy was in a better position than he deemed to be in, but he was running low on resources, of course. I guess it is kind of hard because you see the 4th base and you see there's Templars sitting there also with Storm, and you just think, okay, well, I can't ever fight that now because I haven't killed a single carrier. But
I mean, but even at that base, there were, what, 7-8 probes, 1 cannon. He didn't have enough to spam cannons, no ground army at all whatsoever. I mean, just premature GG, no way. Even if Gypsy, it turns out he was actually way worse off than it seemed. It's just premature to call it GG. The carriers need an economy behind them, and Gypsy did enough to kill the 4th base, then hamper the economy at that base as well. And even he was doing attacks at 6 o'clock. While he didn't kill that base, he did clean up most of the probes there.
Well, here is the map choice for Gypsy. It is going to be Polypoid, as you were predicting. So let's get into Game 2. OyA G 1 game away from advancing into the round of 8. So in the top right, we have Gypsy. And in the top left, we have OyA G 1 game away. Now we have horizontal spawns. With horizontal spawns, especially this position where Terran has high ground, is there anything you see here where you're like, okay, this is the move with spawns like this?
No. I think this map is pretty good for Terran when they get horizontal spawns like this. You can get control of your high ground as Terran, and then you have an easy and clear push path towards the Protoss. And I was going to mention this, and he beat me to the punch. But whenever you're in a series and there's a very tightly contested game 1 where it could have gone either way, the probability of game 2 being a cheese goes way up. I don't know what it is. And I mentioned this from my own experience and from watching a bunch of series. Game 2 cheese probability goes way up.
Yeah, so we're going to have proxy gate. We don't know if it's going to be 1 or 2. It could be 2. I've faced that for some reason on the ladder more often these days. And Gypsy may be feeling ambitious with a gasless expand here, and this could be devastating for him. You can see that he's already camera hotkeyed his Nat. There's the first gate. We don't see the probe moving out. Okay. Luckily, that's in his main. However, it is nowhere near that depot. And for all you Gypsy fans, we may be about 2 minutes away from seeing game over and his BSL run might be done. Let's see if he scouts the middle. We already saw kogeT respond with double rack. Okay, now he's going to intercept the probe. Does he notice that it came at a funky angle?
Okay, then let's see. Nope, it's just gonna go all the way down and then probably go cross map and see the gateways, but will it be too late? The key here is that second depot. He needs to make it right next to this barracks to have some semblance of SimCity.
Okay, I thought somehow Gypsy scouted that with his SCV going down the bottom right. Now this SCV is getting dangerously low, and we already know that it is crucial he gets out as many Marines as possible. Now the most important part is where's that depot? Okay, there it goes right next to the barracks. That SCV I think is going to die. Oh, it's glitching out, and it's going to survive for now. Just barely needs to be repaired though. OyA G sharking for it. He's sharking. He gets surrounded. Somehow he avoids the death sentence from the SCV, but still, Gypsy has no idea about the proxy that's coming at him, and he's got 100 gas, so he's waiting to build that factory, but that means he's not building any Marines, and it's not even going to Sim City with the depot.
He's down. He's only on 1 Marine, and OyG actually pulled. Okay, it's gonna be 2 Marines versus 2 Zealots. That's a disaster. He's gonna need a bunker instantly, one that can defend his mineral line and the factory. Can it be done? Here come 2 Zealots, and okay, there's the bad news. SCV is gonna go down right away. Does he get a bunker? He doesn't have enough minerals. He needs to cancel. He needs to cancel that SCV he's making, and the bunker not even in position to defend the factory.
Yep, that means that the factory's gonna have to be canceled, or it's gonna have some type of miracle SCV glitching that, you know, sometimes or almost always goes in favor of Flash. I don't know how his SCVs always bounce in the right position, but this is gonna be the BSL dream over for Gypsy. He's just got too many Zealots in his base disrupting his mining. Meanwhile, you know, it's not like OyA has killer econ. It's just that Gypsy doesn't have any econ. And that is going to be an unfortunate end to Gypsy's run. He looked so good on blindside, and then, I mean, you either scout the proxy gate or you're dead in that scenario. And unfortunately, he didn't scout it, and that's kind of just what happens sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you lose a series in game 1, though. I mean, that early GG, and then that was it.
Yeah, and if you watch Gypsy stream, that is heartbreaking because he is very, very good these days. And if we were to repeat this series, for sure, this would be different results. It would not be a 2-0 like this. It could be a 2-1 for OyA still, but it could have easily gone in favor of Gypsy. But sometimes, like you said, it ends in game 1. We don't know if it affected Gypsy's mental state at all, but OyA, he's going to take the series 2-0. That means that the BSL dream for him continues. He's going to move on to the round of 8, along with his compadre from Europe, with trutaCz getting out in first place. So that is going to mean that Zeke, Dandy, trutaCz, and OyA have all moved on, 4 very strong players. And that is going to be the end of Group B today. So, of course, we want to thank all of our supporters for supporting the BSL. Of course, Esports Fund, the main sponsor of BSL. Thank you so much for continuing your support. But we also want to support all you viewers out there and Patreon supporters. At the $100 level, we have Star Lover, $50 level, Grail, Striker, and FTX Sony. $30 level, Tupacalypse, Gruglog, and Scott Wallfield. And at the $20 level, Cuz, X Civil War X, Christian Eddington, Mad Cat's Fury Road, Martin Harsmar, LML, and Lingen Pump. And of course, all you other Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Remember, at the $10 level, you get all of the replays from BSL. If you want to figure out how OyA pulled out that victory versus Gypsy, you can get that replay. You just got to become a $10 Patreon supporter. And then, of course, we have the Bombastic shop. I'm a big fan of the sweatshirt and the sweatshirt and the t-shirt. They're very nicely done. Also, that white mug that you see at the bottom right corner, that looks very, very slick. If you don't want to be a Patreon supporter, but you still want to support the BSL while also getting something in return, definitely consider supporting the BSL through the shop. And I guess we're supporting Terran Malo. I'm not too sure exactly what this is. Okay, he is apparently a small supporter of the BSL, so thank you, Terran Malo, for supporting the BSL. And of course, you can check out the BSL on YouTube. It's at Bombastic Starleague on there. You can also search for Zero PL, and I'm sure all the BSL games will appear in that search. And that's going to be it for Group B. Seriosity, you got any final words for us?
I would like to add, I mean, great games, as always, great players, and it was just fun to cast. And I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there watching the cast. It's it's a pleasure, as always, to join and cast some Brood War.
Yeah, BSL is always fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, next week we're going to have Group C and Group D. Quickly run down these players. We've got in Group C Terror, Gorinich, Medino, and Ultra. So that's going to be a Terran stacked lineup. Then we have our king in Group D, but he's got a very strong group. It's going to be Bonneth, Oxzerg, Eon Zerg, and then Jaeyoon. Jaeyoon looked very impressive in the round of 24. So there is a real chance that, well, I don't know if I can ever say this, that Bonneth could be eliminated, but we already saw the Walt get eliminated at the hand of Jaeyoon. So there is a real scenario where we could see some upsets in that group. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tune in next week because we're going to see some epic games. And of course, me and the Big Gyp will see you there.